Live from Michigan Stadium, you're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football. I'm Leo Blavin alongside Eli Sherman for Jim Harbaugh's debut as Michigan head coach at home as the Michigan Wolverines take on the Oregon State Beavers, the second straight Pac-12 opponent Michigan will face to start the season. Eli, Michigan coming off a disappointing result in Jim Harbaugh's debut, losing at Utah 24-17, a game that featured 3 interceptions from Jake Rudock. What does Michigan have to change offensively to limit those mental errors?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. Mental errors were the key in that game. 3 turnovers. The first one, as Coach Harbaugh seemed to indicate in the midweek press conference, was on the freshman Grant Perry, the other 2 on Jake Rudock himself. And I think this offense really just needs a little bit more experience together, and I think they got that this week. We'll see how they come out offensively. The offense has struggled a lot in these past couple of years for Michigan football, and I think a lot of people expected Coach Jim Harbaugh to come in here right away and make a big difference, but he's running a new system. It's different from what they ran last year under Brady Hoke, and they're just going to have to get used to the schemes, get more comfortable in their own skin, and get back to playing Michigan football.
These two teams haven't faced off in 29 years. What can Michigan fans expect from this Oregon State team?
Well, I think this Oregon State team is going to be pretty similar to what they saw last week in Utah. They run a lot of that spread option type football, really quick running game, not so much on the passing game. They have a true freshman offensively. And so we're going to see a lot from the slot position in Victor Bolden. Seth Collins, their freshman quarterback, tends to run to the outside a bit, not so much in the passing game. Last week he was just 10 of 18 for 92 yards passing, but he had 17 carries for 163 yards. So it's going to be big on Michigan's defensive ends to try and contain. It'll be big on Jabril Peppers, who's running the hybrid space position at safety today, to get to the seal the edge and make sure that that Oregon State can't attack them too much on the ground, because if they can force third down, they're going to have a really happy day getting a lot of punts, get their special teams some opportunities to get a few runbacks.
A sold-out Michigan Stadium continues to fill out in the student section, but the rest of the bowl is certainly full of Maize and Blue fans, and a solid Oregon State contingent making the trip from Corvallis. Michigan won the toss, deferred, and will kick off to start this one against the Beavers in Harbaugh's debut as head coach in the Big House. Kenny Allen will kick things off for the Maize and Blue. Michigan in their blue tops with the maize pants and the maize numbers. Oregon State in the white tops, orange numbers, and black pants.
Chilly day here in Ann Arbor. Game time temp right around 60 degrees. Winds out of the north. Kenny Allen kicking with the wind.
Kenny Allen kicks this one off, and we're underway. This one will be returned by Ramel Dockery for Oregon State, and he runs and gets just out to the 22-yard line before he is wrapped up. So Oregon State will start this one from their own 22.
So right off the bat, Michigan's going to have to show what they can do on defense. It's going to be a big day for James Ross III. He'll see a lot of snaps. He's been their big running down linebacker. Quick to the edge, big.
Michigan forced just one turnover a week ago, and it came on that interception on the Hail Mary attempt at halftime. So certainly was a point of emphasis all week in practice, trying to force some turnovers. Seth Collins takes the opening snap, and it's a jet sweep to the wide receiver, Victor Bolden, who's wrapped up after a gain of just 1 yard. Great start for this Michigan defense, and we're going to see a lot of that today, a lot of these quick jet sweeps. This is a team, Oregon State, coached by Gary Anderson, who spent the past 2 years at Wisconsin, where they were known for running the football. They're not going to air it out a lot here if you're the Beavers State, but they're going to run the ball a ton, and they're going to do it quickly. 2nd and 9 coming up quickly. Collins takes the shotgun snap. He hands this one off to Chris Brown, who runs right up the middle. Gaping hole, Jabril Peppers chasing him down from behind, but not before he gets to midfield. A huge pickup for the Beavers there.
Michigan's going to have to limit those plays, big running plays on the ground. And really learning the Oregon State offense quick is going to be key. Can they limit the outside play? Because Oregon State is not going to run it up the middle. Michigan's inside linemen are just too big, too strong for the quick guys to get past.
1st and 10 from midfield. This time it's a fake handoff, and a wide open man missed there by Collins. His intended target there was Victor Bolden. He simply overthrew him, but he had him open. Chris Wormley providing the pressure.
Yeah, Collins got hit pretty hard as he threw that one. Definitely got knocked off target by Wormley coming in there. Taking a nice shot to the chest, did Collins.
But Michigan's defense seems to be struggling early with this tempo, getting themselves in position. Incompletion certainly will slow down Oregon State's tempo. Bolden, the motion man, receives the handoff and sweeps out to the right side. He has a first down and a whole lot more, picking up 16 yards on that carry, getting into Michigan territory, pushed out of bounds at the 33 of the Maize and Blue. Jared Wilson finally forced him out, but not before a huge gain.
Bolden, one of the quicker backs Michigan has seen in the past couple of years. Playing out of that slot receiver position, he's a little bit like Dennis Norfleet, real quick, real shifty, and very small. Going to have to pick him up quickly in space.
Bolden had just 5 carries a week ago. He's already got 2 in this game on the opening drive. Collins takes a snap. Rolling out to his left, under pressure, firing it. And Channing Stribling thought it was coming to him. Jumping in front of it to make the reception was Jordan Villeman, and he leaped out of nowhere seemingly. Stribling wasn't playing the ball. He was waiting for it to come to him, and Villeman took it out of midair for a pickup of 10 and a first down.
Looks like a flag on the backside of the play. Might be picking it up, though.
Flag down, we're awaiting the call. And as you said, they just picked up the flag, so no penalty there. And it moves the chains after a pickup of 10. Oregon State in the red zone on this opening drive. 13:43 left to go in the first quarter. Collins in the shotgun. 2 receivers out wide to the right. Takes the snap. Takes the handoff. Rolling out to his right. He'll tuck it in. Wormley will let him go absolutely nowhere. It was a designed run, and Wormley read it brilliantly. A loss of 3 on the play.
Wormley, 2 quick plays early, getting way out ahead of the lineman, Dustin Stanton, that time. Getting through the line, getting into the backfield real quick. That's going to be key. Is can the tackles get inside quickly enough for the ends to be able to seal the edge?
Miscommunication in the defensive secondary. They finally do get a line for this 2nd and 13 snap. Again, coming in motion is Bolden. He gets the fake handoff, thrown deep ball into the right corner. Did he come down with it? He did. Touchdown, Hunter Jarman, with the touchdown in the right corner of the end zone, and the Beavers strike first here in Ann Arbor.
That was just a sensational catch in the back corner of the end zone on the right side. Nice lofted ball from Seth Collins. Don't expect to see that too frequently from a freshman, but laying the ball right in his hands. Looked like a Mickey Mantle type catch out there. Getting the 1 foot down.
And not the worst coverage by Jordan Lewis. He was in position. It was just a perfectly thrown ball right where only his receiver could make a play on it, and Jarman over the shoulder, catches it in the corner of the end zone for the touchdown. The PAT is up, and it is good. So Oregon State, on their opening drive, take just 1 minute and 59 seconds off the clock and get a touchdown out of it, and they lead 7-0 with a TV timeout. Wolverines' defense not looking so good on that opening drive, but Oregon State's offense had everything going for them.
Defense got absolutely tempoed on that drive. They were on their back heels basically the entire time that drive started, just beyond the 20-yard line of Oregon State. They drove down the field and just made Michigan look unprepared, to be quite frank. The secondary was making most of the tackles on the running plays, and Seth Collins hit his men when he needed to. Oregon State did not face a 3rd down that drive, and that's just key. If Oregon State can continue to do that throughout the game, it won't matter what Michigan can do offensively. And they'll be able to score at will.
And I think what makes this more worrisome for Michigan fans, too, is this isn't a new look. This is the same offense they faced a week ago in Utah. A more athletic quarterback, sure, but Utah was running many of these same plays and running at the same tempo. So it's not like Michigan wasn't prepared for an up-tempo offense a week ago. They certainly should have been more prepared this week.
Yeah, the key going forward is going to be, what can the linebackers contribute? You know, they're kind of the directors of the defense. They're the generals on that side of the ball, and they're going to be the ones that need to be a lot quicker in identifying what's going to happen pre-snap and getting the guys in position. Because so far it's been a lot of jet sweep and a lot of good play action, a lot of good looks for the Oregon State Beavers, and they've really made Michigan pay.
And Seth Collins, in his first start ever on the road, the true freshman quarterback, comes to the Big House, and he looked really good on that opening drive. He had the 1 incompletion, but that last throw was one of the best we've seen in a long time in this stadium, for sure.
Michigan Stadium right now honoring head coach John Beilein of the Michigan basketball team for a leadership award won during this offseason.
Yeah, he won the NCAA award for best sportsmanship out of a coach in the country. So, and Beilein is truly the epitome of what you expect out of a head coach in any sport, and no one more deserving than him for an award like this. After a tough basketball season, he showed nothing but class the entire year. For Michigan now, you find yourself in a hole on offense, but I think something that's important for Michigan is you don't want to dig the hole any deeper by getting a turnover. Michigan's offense just has to come out and execute a good opening drive.
Absolutely. There's still 13 minutes in the first quarter here, and Michigan's still going to, even though they're down a touchdown already, they're still going to try and play their game. It's going to be a little bit slower tempo, try and give the defense a bit of a rest. It'll be interesting to see what goes on in the run game today. We expect to see Davion Smith get the brunt of carries again, just like last week. He had 17 carries for 47 yards for the Wolverines. Also expect today Drake Johnson should be back in some capacity. A lot of Wolverines fans are hoping that he can contribute. He seemed to be one of the better backs for the Wolverines last year. Played pretty well in between the tackles. And they're going to need a lot more production from their running game to try and supplement what Jake Rudock is giving them under center.
Garrett Owens to kick it off for the Beavers, who lead 7-0 here after their opening drive touchdown with 13:01 left to go in the first quarter. Jabril Peppers and DeMonte Thomas back deep for the Wolverines. Kicks this one off. It's a low liner heading towards the 15-yard line, and it bounces out of bounds. So certainly not a good kickoff. I understand not wanting to give the ball to Jabril Peppers, such a threat in the return game, but certainly not the result they'd hoped for. So the flag comes out, and Michigan will start their opening drive trailing by a touchdown in good field position from the 35-yard line.
Seeing as Jabril Peppers has had one legitimate return in his college career, it's interesting to see them kick away from him so definitively. They could have at least tried kicking into DeMonte Thomas, see what he had to give.
And Michigan elects to take this opening snap from the right hash mark. We'll see how that plays into the play. Diamond backfield for the Wolverines. Rudock under center. Jake Butt, the motion man, breaks out wide to the left. Rudock fakes the handoff, drops back, looking deep, firing deep. Got a man, Amara Darboh, and it's broken up at the last minute. A great defensive play made there by Treston Deku to break that one up. As it was a well-thrown ball. He had Darboh deep, but just a great play by the junior from Covington, Louisiana.
Fans at Michigan Stadium looking for pass interference on that play, but Deku just did a good job of getting that right hand in there, batted the ball, and that's the key. If you can get a hand on the ball, it doesn't matter where your other hand is. You're not going to get called for pass interference, and that's just good corner play.
Freddie Canteen making his debut for the Wolverines in this one. Out wide to the left as Rudock takes the snap, hands this one off to Smith. Breaking through the middle, he's got a good hole and picks up 6 on that first running attempt of the game for the Wolverines. Smith averaged just 2.8 yards per carry in the last game, so a welcome sight for Michigan as they go up-tempo here for this 3rd and 4. Rudock alone in the backfield, 2 receivers split out wide to both sides. Takes the shotgun snap, looking to the left. Now pressure coming up the middle, and he's wrapped up, and he lets the ball loose, and covering it up for Oregon State is Romo Mungeo, making the big play coming from the middle linebacker position. Came in with pressure, hit Rudock, and Rudock let the ball go, and Mungeo springs onto the ball. The ball was out before he went down, so Oregon State takes over after a horrible play by Rudock. You can't let that ball go. The sack and the fumble sets up Oregon State deep in Michigan territory. They'll start this next possession on the 24 of Michigan.
And you said it before this drive started. Michigan needed to not fall into a deeper hole. They were already down 7-0 after that quick opening drive by the Beavers, and now they're threatening again just outside the red zone. That was a complete breakdown by Michigan's line. Kyle Kalis had his man. Magnuson had his man, but there was no extra guy in to get that linebacker.
1st and 10 for Oregon State. Victor Bolden in motion. Throws it back in the direction of Seth Collins. So a little trickery there, and I think he had Collins open. However, Bolden just didn't have enough air under that football. But Oregon State comes into this game, not a lot to lose. No one's expecting him to win this game, and probably the right time to call one of those trick plays after a turnover, try to go for the dagger early on.
Yeah, Oregon went 2-7 in Pac-12 play last year, so this is definitely a rebuilding year, especially with new coach Gary Anderson.
Victor Bolden out of the backfield this time, takes the handoff, cuts up the middle, and he lets the ball loose, and it's caught out of the air by Joe Bolden. Bolden coming back the other way, and he's finally brought down. So a big turnover for Oregon State, and now a big turnover for the Wolverines as Joe Bolden caught the ball out of midair. It was poked loose from Victor Bolden's arms, and Joe Bolden came down with it, and he's wrapped up. A flag at the end of the play, I think, for a face mask or an illegal block, but Michigan will take over after the fumble.
Yeah, that flag certainly after the turnover flag, and no indication yet what it is.
And it was Taco Charlton who forced the turnover. He punched it loose from Victor Bolden's arms, and Johnny on the spot, Joe Bolden, caught it out of midair and got a decent return, so Michigan will take over after their turnover. They'll get the ball right back after 2 plays for Oregon State. This time they'll start this drive from their own 37-yard line. I formation for Rudock. He's got Joe Carriage in it, fullback Davion Smith dotting the I. 2 receivers out wide to the left. Rudock fires it out to left. Darbo takes it on the screen, and he's got a lot of room down the left sideline. And a great block to spring him there by Jehu Chesson as he gets across midfield, forced out of bounds at the 41-yard line of the Beavers.
Jehu Chesson just executed a textbook block on that bubble screen, getting out about 7-8 yards in front of the receiver and getting a great chop block, just absolutely taking the corner out of the play, giving Darbo a lot of space down that left sideline.
I formation again, 2 receivers out wide to the right this time. The snap coming from the left hash marks. Carriage the fullback, Smith dotting the I. This time it's a handoff to Smith, running down the right sideline. He's got a lot of room, and he bullies his way forward. A lot of push, still not going down. Finally, the whistle blown. He gets down to the 35-yard line, a pickup of 7 on that first down carry. And big runs like that on first down make the play calling so much easier.
Yeah, last week, Michigan's longest run of the day, 7 yards. So they can improve on that, maybe get a few first down runs on first down. That would absolutely help their chances here today.
Michigan sticking with the same formation again, just flipping the receivers the past 3 plays. Now they're both lined up on the left side, Chesson inside and Darbo out wide. Carriage comes in motion, then the handoff to Smith running down that left side, and he's brought down near the first down markers. He'll be about a yard short, setting up a 3rd and 1 from the Oregon State 32-yard line. So right on the edge of where I think Michigan would be comfortable attempting a field goal, but they certainly don't want to settle for 3.
Yeah, wind at their back. Should be good for Kenny Allen. We saw him hit from 30 yards last week, missed from 44 in his first start for Michigan. So unproven kicker, but also untested.
Jumbo package, 2 tight ends finishing out the left side of the offensive line here for this 3rd and 1. And a play action attempt as Rudock fires it to the motion man, Jake Butt. The big receiver a week ago comes up with another big play here, picking up 6 yards in the first down, moving the chains for the Maize and Blue, and getting just outside the red zone.
Yeah, Rudock almost tripped and fell as he came out of the under center. Very stumbly there. Looked a little bit like that first sack on their first drive before the fumble.
And great play design there. Jake Butt, the interior of the 2 tight ends out wide to the left, coming underneath the offensive line and getting just beyond the first down marker. And as you said, Rudock fortunate to keep his footing. He's tripped up a few times in these first 2 drives, perhaps some jitters for the graduate transfer from Iowa. Rudock takes the snap, but prior to it, some flags, and looking like this is going to be a false start. Indeed it is. So that'll push Michigan back 5 yards, making it 1st and 15 from the Oregon State 31-yard line. Oregon State on top of Michigan here early, 7-0 with 10:05 left to go in the first quarter. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football.
Yeah, talk about Jake Butt. He was the 2nd place on the team last week in terms of helmet stickers, those returning this year for the Wolverines. He had 8. Amaro Darbo had 9, leading the Wolverines on offense last week in Utah.
Ty Isaac getting his first appearance in the game. It's a fake handoff to him as Rudock fires it for a pickup of 4 on that one. Drake Harris getting his first reception in a Maize and Blue uniform, setting up a much more manageable but still long 2nd and 12.
Drake Harris at long last, as you mentioned, getting that first reception. He's been on campus in Ann Arbor for 3 years, but the hamstrings have plagued him. And everybody has high hopes for him, but he is yet to really get a chance to strut his stuff.
And he was a high school All-American coming from the great state of Michigan, so there was a lot of expectations that he could potentially be in that number 1 uniform at some point. Hasn't panned out quite yet. Davion Smith takes the pitch running out wide to the left, and he picks up another decent gain, about 6 there. It'll be 3rd and 6 when they snap this next ball from the 22 of Oregon State.
And these mid-yardage situations on 3rd down are really what makes the difference between a good team and a great team. You know, can you convert in the red zone or just outside the red zone and extend drives? And Oregon State is a defense that's going to be a key. If they can't do it against Oregon State, they're not going to be able to do it against much better.
Rudock takes the shotgun snap, has time, firing over the middle. Grant Perry could not hang on to it. He was short of the markers anyway, and he was diving to make that catch, so it wouldn't have moved the chains, but Grant Perry unable to secure that one. And another route where it seemed they were almost not on the same page as Perry had sat down on his route and then had to dive at the last minute, and that nearly could have been intercepted, but it also looked like it may have taken a deflection.
Yeah, tipped at the line by Romo Yungayao. And, I think that's more just Rudock didn't have anybody open. He was about to get tackled in the pocket. There wasn't much he could do. Kenny Allen coming to attempt the kick.
40-yarder from the last left hash marks is up, and it is good, and that's a welcome sign of relief. Kenny Allen, 1 of 2 a week ago, now 2 for 3 in his Michigan career, and that's a new career long for him. A 40-yarder from the last hash marks is good, and Michigan gets their first point at home of the Jim Harbaugh era. 7-3 in favor of Oregon State with 8:20 left to go in the opening quarter. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football. Michigan's opening drive didn't go according to plan. They turned the ball over, but the Michigan defense stepped up, forced a turnover of their own, and then Michigan gets points. And you've got to convert off of turnovers and get points as an offensive unit, and they did just that.
Yeah, that was something that Coach Harbaugh stressed this week is getting more punches on the ball, trying to force turnovers, be more aggressive to the ball when you're tackling, not just trying to bring the man down, but getting some fingers on the ball and trying to rip it away and force some turnovers on the ground, because it's a lot harder to create an interception than it is to force a fumble. And it paid off there, getting the strip, Joe Bolden coming up with the recovery, and also his run back was really key. I think giving Michigan some good field position, getting them a little bit away from their own end zone, get some breathing room going into that drive.
Solid drive there for Michigan to get points, and now as we wait to see Michigan's defense come back out, they had a big play a moment ago, but that opening drive still has to be of concern for this defensive coaching staff as Oregon State moved the ball with ease. So if you're Michigan's defensive coordinator, DJ Durkin, what are you telling your guys? They just got a big play for you, but with this up-tempo, how do you prepare them in between possessions?
Well, they really just got to be quicker to figure out what's going on. I think I kind of hinted at it before in that it's on the linebackers to identify things pre-snap, but it's also on DJ Durkin to, communicate with the players on the field pre-snap. As your defense, you have to be able to identify what's going on offensively, identify, is it likely to be a play-action play, especially with a team that's running so much fly and jet sweep, working with their receivers, in kind of a running position, and being able to make the quick decisions. I think we should see more of James Ross. He's been kind of the contained linebacker for this Wolverines defense, and that'll be key as to whether or not they have more James Ross playing, have him as the strong side linebacker to really identify what Victor Bolden and Seth Collins and Storm Bars Woods are up to, the 3 kind of big running threats for this Beavers team.
Kenny Allen to kick things off for the Wolverines, who trail 7-3 as Oregon State gets the ball back with 8:20 left to go in the opening quarter. Allen boots this one deep and up the middle, and no chance to return that one. It flies out of the back of the end zone. An impressive kickoff there, and nothing a special teams coach loves more than a kicker who can boot it out of the end zone and prevent any sort of return, as Kenny Allen did just there.
Yeah, nearly a field goal from the kickoff spot. Just sailed a little bit onto the crossbar, but dead-on accuracy.
And that's one thing we heard about Kenny Allen, who walked onto this team, was he had a booming leg, and he's shown that at Utah no chance for them to return any of those kicks, and he's prevented Oregon State from having an opportunity to return his second kickoff of the game with 8:20 left to go in the opening quarter. So Seth Collins and the Beavers take over at their own 25-yard line, up 7-3. 3 receivers split out wide to the right. Collins takes the snap, and he hands this one off, and Chris Brown was wrapped up immediately. Coming in to make the stop was Chris Wormley off the end.
Yeah, Chris Wormley having a big day really early on here. And I mentioned it before, if Oregon State is running up the middle, they're not going to have much success.
Up-tempo again is another handoff. This time, Chris Brown breaks out to the right sidelines, and he's wrapped up after a pickup of about 3. Jordan Lewis there to make the initial hit. So Oregon State looks to the sidelines to get the play call for this 3rd and 7. Fans on their feet making noise, trying to make it hard for this true freshman quarterback in his first road start. Stacked receivers on both sides. Collins takes a snap, and it's an opportunity for him to run, trying to pick up the first down. He's wrapped up about a yard short. He got through the initial level, but Desmond Morgan came up to make the stop. And Oregon State, the offense staying out on the field for this 4th and 1, and now the punting unit comes out.
Yeah, it looked like they were going to try and go for it. It was about 4th and half a yard maybe. But it's still early. They have time. They have a 7-3 lead, so they can be a little bit conservative. But a good job on this drive of Michigan to really contain the edge. And, I really think Chris Wormley is the star player, containing the run.
And Nick Porebski, the Melbourne Australian-born punter, nearly had it blocked and gets it up in the air. No chance for Peppers to return it. He'll take a fair catch, but good field position for Michigan to start their 3rd drive of the game. They'll start this one from their own 32-yard line.
So Michigan starting to turn the tables here. Forcing that punt. Looking at the replay, that was really close.
Brian Cole came off the edge to almost block it, but I think he did his job there. If you're not going to block it, force the punter to alter the way he kicks it. And I can't imagine that's how Porebski had hoped to kick that one. A lot of hang time under it, so he prevented Peppers from returning it, but Michigan starts in good field position at their own 32. Diamond formation for Michigan. Chesson out wide right, Darboh out wide left, Rudock under center. Smith in the backfield, fake handoff to Smith. Rudock dropping back, has time, throws it out wide to Joe Carriage, who picks up about 3, but a great open field tackle made there by Caleb Saulo.
Yeah, Carriage running across in the flat. He had, he faked the block on play action, and then went out as a receiver. I think Rudock must have had that as a design play because he had quite a bit of time. Could have looked for maybe a little bit further downfield threat. Picking up only 3 yards on a passing play on first down isn't ideal.
Drake Harris, the lone receiver, split out wide to the right. Now Jake Butt comes out out of motion. Blindside coming in. Rudock will tuck it and run to the left side. Flag for holding, so this play will be coming back. And then Rudock took a shot on the bench. He ran out to the left sideline. He picked up the first down, but a holding call will bring this one back. But at the end of that play, after Rudock was in Oregon State's bench area, it looked like he took a shot. No flag. The referees didn't see it, but Rudock was pointing after the play. This will move Michigan back. It'll be 2nd and 17 after the holding call.
In any case, really good vision by Rudock. Seeing that he had nobody downfield, tucked it and had wide open space along that left side. Everybody had kind of cleared out.
The backup tight end, Henry Pogge, flagged for the infraction. So 2nd and 17, Michigan snapping this one from their own 25 with 5:45 left to go in the opening quarter. Oregon State on top 7-3. Rudock in the shotgun. 2 receivers out wide to the right, 1 to the left. Takes the snap. Drops back. Designed screen pass to Davion Smith, who doesn't have a lot of room in front of him. He'll pick up about 3 yards. Oregon State read that brilliantly. Joshua James was there to wrap him up and make the stop, and there's an injury. Ben Braden slow to get up, and with Logan Tully-Tillman getting kicked off the team Thursday, offensive line depth is a concern for this team, and the last thing they can really afford is to lose one of their interior offensive linemen as Ben Braden goes down. David Dawson listed next up on the depth chart, and he may be forced to come into action at least for one play.
Braden walking off a little bit gingerly, but completely under his own power. I think he's going to be all right. We should see him back in this game based on the look of it. Looked like his left leg was what he was favoring. Possibly something along the core.
And it is David Dawson who comes in, the redshirt sophomore. He was a high school All-American, so he certainly showed promise coming out of high school, and now he'll get his opportunity to play in game action. The 3rd and 13 snap. Rudock under pressure, forced to roll out, firing it in the direction of Grant Perry, out of bounds towards the sideline, and Rudock took another shot after the throw. Oregon State's getting a lot of pressure here early. This offensive line didn't allow a sack a week ago to a Utah team that led the nation in sacks in 2014, but Oregon State's having no trouble getting pressure on the quarterback here early on, and Michigan forced to punt.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise out of Oregon State. They only have 2 returning starters on this defense, but so far they've limited Michigan to just 3 points in the first 10 minutes of play and really made Michigan look a little bit unsettled here in their first home game under Jim Harbaugh.
Ramel Dockery deep to return this low line drive kick by O'Neal, fading towards the corner, and a brilliant punt. Absolutely perfect, forcing the fair catch all the way at Oregon State's 22-yard line. And what a luxury to have one of the best punters in the nation, and that's how you win games, by changing field position like that. And that was as well executed as you could have hoped from Blake O'Neal in this special teams unit. It was the gunner, Jabril Peppers, there to force the fair catch from Dockery, and Oregon State will take over at their own 22-yard line with 4:52 left to go in the opening quarter. It's the Beavers 7, the Wolverines 3. I'm Leo Blavin alongside Eli Sherman for WCBN Sports.
Yeah, you talk about Blake O'Neal. That's the third punter. You know, we've seen 2 games so far and 3 Australian punters. You know, Blake O'Neal for Michigan and Nick Porevsky for Oregon State, and Utah, of course, had an Australian punter of their own. It just seems that Australians are dominating the punting game in college football these days, and you kind of wonder why. You know, how is it that rugby makes kicking so much, kicking in football so much easier? And you have to think that it might be something with their different shaped ball. They learn how to kick it so that it gets the right amount of spin, the right angle, and all that.
And I think a lot of it too is in the rugby gameplay. Punting is such a normal part of the game that happens in the middle of games and often under duress. And you see football traditionally, punting's been all about hang time, where Blake O'Neal, that's the type of punt you'd see executed often in rugby, where it's not as much about the hang time, but it's more about distance and trying to change field position. And as long as you have speedy gunners like Jabril Peppers, who he has to get a lot of credit on that play too, because there was not a lot of hang time. It was a deep punt, but Peppers seemingly ran as quickly as the football moved through the air. And I think this is the type of special teams unit where when you have speed on the edges, you can afford to punt them low and deep. And what a luxury to have to change field position, as Oregon State will start this drive from their own 22-yard line. And that was a ball kicked from inside Michigan's own 20. So
also, you got to think it's something to do with the scheme. You know, the past few years under Brady Hoke, Michigan was running a pro-style punting scheme where everybody was running from the inside, and it just doesn't work the same as a spread punting concept where you have your gunners further outside and trying to contain the returner towards the middle of the field, and you enable to get more guys downfield. The gunners, of course, are the first ones there, and they're kind of sealing the edge and forcing the returner back inside. So I expect one of the big gains for Michigan this year under Harbaugh, one of the immediate things will be this punting game. We've seen it so far, and it should just continue to improve.
4:52 left to go in the opening quarter. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football live from Michigan Stadium. It's the Oregon State Beavers 7, the Wolverines 3, as Oregon State starts their next drive. A handoff from Collins, and he gives it to Chris Brown, who picks up 1 yard on the carry.
Desmond Morgan there on the tackle. Great job shedding a block and coming back inside to make the tackle. Limit them to 2 yards, and you'll be peachy all day.
Three receivers out wide to the right for this 2nd and 8 snap. Collins in the shotgun. Sends Victor Bolden out in motion. Takes the snap, looking in Bolden's direction, instead firing it over the middle, and this one is caught by Jordan Villeman just beyond the first down markers to move the chains for the Beavers.
That's great vision by Seth Collins in the pocket, putting the ball right on target to Villeman.
And they're not going to ask him. They're not going to ask him to throw a lot, but if he can complete the ball a lot, that's just another thing Michigan's defense has to worry about from this team that loves to run the ball. This time it's a fake handoff, and Chris Wormley read it perfectly, wrapping up Collins in the backfield, a loss of 2, and Chris Wormley doing everything right that you'd expect from a defensive lineman against this read option attack.
Yeah, Wormley certainly the player of the game so far for Michigan. He's had a few tackles to his credit, and also that hurry on Oregon State's first drive of the game.
Wormley's 3rd tackle for loss in this opening quarter. 2nd and 12, and the option read works this time as Collins has a lot of room running down the right side, breaks a few tackles, and gets to midfield, a pickup of 20 on that carry. And Seth Collins, when he gets in space, is extremely dangerous, and he executed that option read brilliantly there.
That option read was absolutely beautiful. You know, Chris Brown running to the weak side of the play, and he got 2 or 3 Wolverines to bite and really opened up things on that right side for Seth Collins.
1st and 10, ball on the Oregon State 48-yard line near midfield. Collins drops back, firing towards Villeman. He has him open, and flags will come out, and they had to on that one. It was Peppers in coverage, and the ball was thrown behind Villeman. He tried to get back to the ball, and that's one of those plays where the ball is thrown so poorly that the defensive back is, if that ball's thrown on the money, Peppers has great coverage, but because it's overthrown and Villeman had to go back to the ball, the referees have to throw that flag for face guarding and pass interference.
Also, I think Peppers really has to, make an effort to turn around and look for the ball. If he turns around and, sticks a hand up, then it's fine, but he just kept running at Villeman and just ran right through him at the ball. He could have turned around and at least batted the ball, or even tried to come up with an interception, but he just didn't make an attempt to look back for the ball. And
seeing the replay, that's a tough one for Peppers, because that is how you coach him. Obviously turning around at the end would be ideal, as Oregon State takes a timeout after the 15-yard penalty moves them to the Michigan 37-yard line. So with 3:07 left to go in the opening quarter, Oregon State driving again on top 7-3 over the Wolverines, and Michigan's defense struggling again on this drive.
And this game brought to you by the Daily Sports Report on WCBN FM Ann Arbor, 88.3 on the dial. Daily Sports Report starting up on Tuesday, September 15th, bringing you the latest in Wolverines football, basketball, baseball, hockey, and all of the other sports across the sporting spectrum here at the University of Michigan, plus a national perspective, the Daily Sports Report on WCBN.
So after the timeout, Oregon State will snap this 1st and 10 from the Michigan 37-yard line, up 7-3. 2 motion men as Collins in the shotgun. Takes the snap. He'll hand this one off to Chris Brown. Breaking out the left side is Brown, and Desmond Morgan wraps him up at the line of scrimmage. A great stop by the middle linebacker for no gain.
This offense looks a little bit like what Michigan ran back in the Denard days. There are 3 or 4 guys in the backfield, and any one of them could be potentially getting the ball. The difference here, though, their running backs are a lot quicker than Michigan's running backs were, and it makes it a lot more dangerous because you have to cover quite a few more guys.
Storm Bars Woods now, the running back, as Collins takes the snap. He will hand it off to Bars Woods, who runs right up the middle and is wrapped up by a gang of Michigan tacklers.
Oregon State hasn't gotten more than about 3, maybe 4 yards running inside so far today. Michigan has continued to show that they know how to handle that. Ryan Glasgow, just an outstanding player. He's a walk-on defensive tackle. Him and Chris Wormley have really showed that they own that center of the field, forcing Oregon State to go outside.
3rd and 7, stacked receivers on both sides for Collins, who's in the shotgun. Drops back. Looking under duress, throws, and he was hit as he let it go and had to throw it in midair. He overthrew his intended target, Victor Bolden. And now Oregon State, right on the fringe of field goal range. Garrett Owens, their kicker, has made 5 straight field goals. He has a 45-yard long this season, but this may be out of his range. It would be about a 50-yarder if they were to attempt it. And it looks like they will go for it. A bit too deep in Michigan territory to punt, so
Oregon State certainly has the offense to be able to have a good shot at converting this. They're certainly, this is foregone territory for basically any team in Pac-12.
4 receivers split out wide. Collins drops back under duress. Taco Charlton. It's a great play design. Just near the first down markers is Villeman. It'll depend on the spot. And the initial spot looks to be about a half-yard short. It was a great play design as Villeman came under a design screen. He had 2 blockers, but they're going to have to measure, and apparently not. They already see that it's too short, so Michigan takes over. A big stop for the defense.
You know, for what it's worth, I think that was a poor spot by the referees. I think Villeman definitely had it. He had that reach, and he was way out ahead of the first down marker, but Michigan getting a good break here at home, and this could be the difference. 1:44 left in the first quarter. Try and turn the tables and go to the second.
Gary Anderson can have them review it, so we will see if he agrees with you, but Michigan's offense does come out on the field starting this drive at their own 28-yard line, trailing 7-3 to Oregon State with 1:44 left to go in this opening quarter. High formation for Rudock. Drake Johnson dotting the I. It's a handoff to Joe Carriage, who picks up about 2, but good to see Drake Johnson on the field making his debut this season.
Yeah, seeing him in the first quarter means they really do trust him. Normally with a guy coming back from a torn ACL, you'd expect them to try and ease him into play, maybe fourth quarter in a big lead, but instead he's going to get the ball right here.
Michigan going up tempo on 2nd and 8, and they hand it off to Johnson, who never really got his footing. Tripped up at the line of scrimmage, but he dove forward for a pickup of 6.
Yeah, big cheer from the crowd here, recognizing the play of Johnson, getting his first carry since back in November against Ohio State when he did tear that ACL. Comes right out of the game, though. We've heard that he's certainly progressed quite well in practice. Coach Harbaugh has spoken volumes about his play.
3rd and 4 from the Michigan 34-yard line. Rudock in the shotgun. Pressure coming from the Oregon State secondary as Rudock takes the snap. He has time, overthrows an intended man, Jake Butt, and then some tussling after the play. Mason Cole getting into it with the Oregon State secondary member, Justin Strong. So after all that, just 4th and 4, Michigan forced to punt again. Blake O'Neill will be back deep to kick it for Michigan. Ramel Dockery back deep to return for Oregon State. O'Neill will kick this from the Michigan 20. Boots this one, another low line drive. Dockery will have a chance to return this one from his own 20. Breaking right up the middle, and he's got a lot of room. There are flags on the field. Dockery running down the right side, gets all the way to the Michigan 48-yard line, but there is a flag back in the direction of a block in the back.
Yeah, absolutely a block in the back. Looked like Treston Decoud on that one. Downfield right around the 22, 23-yard line for Oregon State. So this one, they're going to be deep in their own side of the field. Michigan going to have an opportunity to show what they can do on defense, try and contain and turn field position.
But that is one that has to concern you if you're Michigan special teams coordinator. You can't be pleased with a big return like that. Sure, the block in the back goes your way, but I certainly think John Baxter has to have some concern when you see a return that gets back to midfield. And that's the risk you take when you have a long line drive punter like O'Neill.
Yeah, I think O'Neill just next time he's going to have to get it a little bit higher in the air, or maybe more towards the sideline and keep Oregon State from running up the middle and having a lot of space.
Oregon State takes over at their own 13-yard line, up 7-3 with 26 seconds left to go in the opening quarter. Collins takes the snap, option read, and he'll keep it this time. Getting to the second level, upended by Jabril Peppers. I think he tried to hurdle him. The problem was Peppers wasn't biting, and he simply flipped him over in the air. Pickup of 8, though, on the carry.
Yeah,
and Oregon State won't try to snap it once more this quarter.
Big flourish there. Peppers impressive was actually able to turn around as Collins was in the air and then tackle him going back up the field. Looks like a timeout.
End of the first quarter.
At the end of the first quarter.
So at the end of one, it's the Oregon State Beavers 7, the Michigan Wolverines 3. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football. I'm Leo Blavin alongside Eli Sherman. Eli, not the best first quarter for the Wolverines, but certainly haven't put them in any sort of hole that will prevent them from having the opportunity to win this game.
Yeah, they've kept it close, and I think that's the key. This team, again, is continuing to learn. Oregon State also continuing to learn. You know, they've got a new coach under Gary Anderson, but they're running a lot quicker tempo, and their system is a lot more similar to what they were running in previous years compared to Michigan, where they were running Brady Hoke's offense, and now Jim Harbaugh is running something completely different, a lot more goal line oriented all across the field. Not just they'll run goal line from their own 20, for example, and a lot more tight end sets. They got a lot of guys that converted positions. Some linebackers, Henry Pogge, for example, switching over and now playing tight end. So they're learning how to block, they're learning how to catch, and some guys that aren't necessarily haven't necessarily been playing the position for very long are being forced to pick it up and learn on the job. And so just, keeping it close for the time being is really what's key. And I don't think anybody really expects Michigan to blaze through their schedule this year and run teams over. But, every game really making progress is going to be the key for this team going forward.
Oregon State's a team that comes into this game. Some places have them as underdogs by more than 2 touchdowns. They're certainly showing they're going to hang around in this one, though.
Yeah, I think Oregon State's offense is really what makes the difference, because even if they have the inconsistencies in third and fourth down situations where they can't necessarily convert, they are moving the ball down the field in those early down situations, and being able to keep Michigan from the Oregon State side of midfield on offense is huge, because this Michigan offense has struggled as well, and it's turning into a defensive game, and what's keeping Oregon State in it is the ability of their offense to really tempo Michigan out of the game and force them to play on their heels, keep them from creating turnovers, creating punting situations.
So to start the second quarter, it'll be a 2nd and 2 for the Oregon State Beavers from their own 21-yard line. The visitors on top 7-3. Still in a TV timeout, waiting to get back underway, but gives Michigan's defense plenty of time to get in a proper alignment against this Oregon State offense that's already out on the field as well and lined up for this next snap. Still waiting to get back underway here from the Big House.
Car commercial going on ABC, keeping Michigan fans away from their football. Certainly an impressive turnout from the fans here today. Non-conference and opponent, but even the student section is full to the brim.
A welcome sign for this athletic department, which last year saw many empty stadiums, especially as the season progressed. 2nd and 2 to start the second quarter for the Beavers from their own 21. Several motion men, but Collins will keep it himself, breaking out the left side, and a shoestring tackle by Jabril Peppers prevented that one from being a big game, but it still moves the chains for the Beavers. Pick up a 4.
Yeah, they absolutely loaded up the backfield there and had men moving everywhere after the snap. Makes it really difficult for Michigan's linemen to identify who's going to keep the ball, and when they're all as quick as Seth Collins.
2 receivers out wide to the right for this first down snap. Collins rolling out to the right on the play action, and he finds Victor Bolden for a pickup of 4. Gerard Wilson on the cover.
Bolden is certainly impressed out of the slot so far. He runs a lot of jet sweeps. And he's quick, making the catch there on first down.
2nd and 5 on the Oregon State 31-yard line for the Beavers. Chris Brown in the backfield and takes the snap from Collins, rushing right up the middle. Picks up 2. And this is a big opportunity for Michigan. It's a 3rd down, and they really could desperately use a stop. They have yet to lead a game in these 2 matchups so far with both Utah and Oregon State, and they'd love to have an opportunity to get a lead, but getting a stop here would be big. Crowd on their feet with 13:45 left to go in the first half. Tight ends on both sides of the line. Victor Bolden comes in motion. Collins takes the shotgun snap, drops back, firing over the middle, has his tight end cutting across the middle. It's Caleb Smith picking up the first down.
Big breakdown in the secondary by Michigan. Nobody picked up Caleb Smith. He had 5 yards of space in all directions coming across the middle, right at the first down line, and then picking up about 5 more yards after the catch.
And it's hard to tell at this point if it's just creative play calling or poor preparation by the defense, because Oregon State seems to be able to dial up the perfect play when they need it.
Even lost his shoe there.
1st and 10 from the Oregon State 42-yard line. Collins hands this one off to Brown, who's wrapped up immediately. No gain on the play. And the running backs haven't had much success in this game, but you have to continue to run it up the middle in order for those option reads to work for the quarterback when he decides to keep it.
Yeah, it's like play action. You got to be able to have the deep threat in order for play action to work. Same thing with the option read. You need that threat up the middle, but so far that hasn't done much for them.
2nd and 10 on the Oregon State 42-yard line. Storm Bars Woods takes this handoff, and he's wrapped up after a gain of about 4. Correction, Deltron Sands, their true freshman from St. Thomas Aquinas, was in the backfield there to take the handoff. Now Chris Brown comes back into play as Deltron Sands heads to the bench for this 3rd and 7 from the Oregon State 45-yard line. Shotgun snap, taken by Collins. Forced out of the pocket, he has room to run, and he will tuck it and do just that, but a great open field tackle made there by Delano Hill. The safety came in to make the big stop for no gain, and Oregon State will be forced to punt.
Yeah, Delano Hill getting the start today at safety, and, kind of like Jabril Peppers playing that hybrid space position, following the run, and he was the only man there, and, making a big open field tackle as Collins. If he gets past Delano Hill, he's going to pick up the first down and more, instead forcing the punt.
And when you bring a blitz, you've got to have guys who can make open field tackles if the quarterback gets outside the pocket. Hill made the stop there. Peppers back deep, the return man. Krebsky nearly has this one blocked again. Another high one. Peppers will take the opportunity and return this one. Breaks the first few tackles, has his helmet ripped off. A face mask penalty. Doesn't get much easier to call than that one. So the return only picked up 2, but with the face mask, it'll be a net yardage total of 17 yards, and Michigan will have decent field position to start this next drive with 11:04 left to go in the opening half. The Beavers on top 7-3.
Yeah, you watch the Gunners on that play. It was a nice scheme on the punt there. They were running downfield and then cross positions going down towards Pepper, and that really got them out in space ahead of Michigan's defenders, Michigan's blockers, and if not for the face mask, Jabril Peppers would really have been contained. I'm surprised that he didn't call for a fair catch because he only had about 5 yards as he caught the ball.
And not only did his helmet come off, but the cap you wear underneath the helmet for some of these guys to keep the sweat out of their eyes, that came off as well. So it doesn't get more flagrant of a face mask than that. He almost took his head off on that one as well. So Michigan will start this next drive on their own 31-yard line, trailing 7-3. We'll take this opportunity to update you on some out-of-town scores within the Big Ten. Western Illinois in Champaign, Illinois, to take on the University of Illinois. And the Illini winning 17-0 with 8:50 to go in the second quarter. Maryland on top of Bowling Green 13-6 with 7:52 to go in the opening half. Buffalo and Penn State still scoreless in their game in Happy Valley.
Penn State embarrassing themselves so far this year. They lost last week
And this was a team that came in as the one that was supposed to be on the rise in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And Christian Hackenberg has not lived up to the hype so far. And the offensive line is not doing him any favors either. And a loss to Buffalo certainly might set their season into a tailspin. Indiana State and Purdue battling, and the Boilermakers on top 14-7 with 9:34 left to go in the first half. And then Wisconsin on top of Miami of Ohio 13-0. And then later tonight, Ohio State has their home opener, the number one team in the nation, taking on the Rainbow Warriors of Hawaii. Rutgers taking on Washington State, so another Big Ten Pac-12 matchup. That one coming in Piscataway. Minnesota traveling to Fort Collins to take on Colorado State, and that could be a tough matchup for a Minnesota team that lost by a touchdown to the number 2 ranked team in the nation a week ago, TCU. So will that loss carry over into this tough road matchup, playing in altitude against a good Colorado State team? However, they're not in a Power 5 conference, so it's a game that Minnesota will be expected to win. And then Northwestern with a surprise victory in the country week 1 over Stanford at home. They continue their home stretch, taking on Eastern Illinois. And then Iowa taking on Iowa State in Ames, Iowa for the Cy-Hawk Trophy matchup. And then the big one tonight in the Big Ten, Michigan State hosting Oregon. Both those teams putting their opportunity to play in the national championship college football playoff later on the season, potentially putting that on the line tonight, depending on how that one plays out. Michigan State, not enough a season ago when they traveled to Eugene, but this one will take place in East Lansing, and Michigan State's got to be feeling good coming into this matchup.
Yeah, I think the big key in that game is going to be how does Oregon stack up against the secondary Michigan State? That's a very shaky secondary from the Spartans, and so far it's seemed evident that teams are going to be able to torch Michigan State if they run a guy up the seams. They had trouble with that against Baylor last year in the Cotton Bowl, and if Oregon State can pick up on that, it'll be huge for them in that game tonight.
11:04 left to go in the opening half. Michigan down 7-3, starting this drive on their own 31-yard line. Rudock fakes the handoff and rolls out wide to the right side, running towards the sideline. A pickup of 5. Not sure if that was a designed run, but he did not have Jehu Chesson open and decided to tuck it and run, and a pickup of 7 on that first down carry for Rudock.
To be quite frank, I don't think there are too many designed quarterback runs in the Jim Harbaugh system. But even so, I think that's good vision by Jake Rudock. Good self-preservation tactics and getting to the sideline. Picking up 7 yards on first down is always good from a pocket passer.
Rudock threw the ball 43 times a week ago. He only has 9 attempts so far in this game. Rudock pitches this one to Smith, running out wide to the right, wrapped up for a gain of 1, setting up a 3rd and 2.
Nice tackle by Caleb Sololo, getting to the edge and tackling Smith from behind. A 1-yard gain on second down is a good way to limit a Wolverines offense that relies on the run.
3rd and 2 on the Michigan 39-yard line. Wolverines looking to get their first touchdown of the game, but they've got to pick up a first down here. 2 receivers split out wide to the left, 1 to the right. Davion Smith on the left hip of Rudock as he takes the snap. Fires in the direction of Amara Darboh, who makes the diving catch at the Michigan 48-yard line to move the chains.
Looked like Darboh tripped as he got where the ball was going, and I think if he keeps his footing, he picks up a few more yards, has a chance with a one-on-one against the corner, Justin Strong. But in any case, picking up a first down there on 3rd and 2.
And it appears, at least early on, that Rudock and Darboh had some sort of connection in fall camp because he's been the number 1 receiver, and he's helped out his quarterback a lot. Hasn't really had any noticeable drops so far in the first 2 games. Rudock in the shotgun for this 1st and 10 from his own 48. Fires this one in the direction of Darboh. Another design bubble screen. Breaks through the first wave of defenders for a pickup of about 5. And that's been effective every time Michigan's gone to it, both in the previous game at Utah and in this one so far. The bubble screen's been good for at least 5 every time they've went to it.
Yeah, good field awareness by Darboh. Seeing that the Beavers had loaded that right side of the field and, cutting back a little bit and then cutting around his blockers and being patient, letting his receivers block for him. This is a really good blocking receiving core for the Wolverines, and it makes a big difference in the passing game when your guys can get downfield and get a little bit of help, especially on those bubble screens.
8:45 left to go in the opening half. Michigan down 7-3 to Oregon State. The second and 5 carry goes to Davion Smith. He gets just short of the first down marker. Pick up a 5 on the carry, sets up a 3rd and 1.
Wolverines loaded the right side with Henry Pogge and Jake Butt on that one. Pogge got way downfield on a block. He's learning. He's not a blocker by trade, but he's going to have to pick that up as Harbaugh runs a many tight end set.
And you'd like to see at some point one of these running backs pick up a first down on the carry, but 3rd and 1 is nothing that Michigan shouldn't be able to manage. Jumbo set, just one receiver out wide to the right, I formation. Carriage the fullback, Davion Smith, the tailback. He takes the handoff, running to the right side, bounces out, finds the hole, and picks up the first down. A scamper for about 12 as he's finally brought down at the Oregon State 33-yard line. A nice run there for Smith, who struggled a week ago to find the holes. No problem there.
And Michigan starting to drive here with just under 8 minutes left in the half. Just inside the 35-yard line, marching down the field. This slow but steady progression is really what's going to make things easier for this offense if they can continue to pick up yards. Drake Harris now in the game on the left side out wide.
And Ty Isaac in at running back. Rudock fires it out to Harris on a screen, and just as we complimented how effective it had been, nothing doing there, a loss of 4, as Drake Harris was drilled immediately by Treston Decoud.
Yeah, that's on Grant Perry. Needs to pick up the block earlier.
But a lot of credit has to be given to Treston Decoud as he had that sniffed out and shedded the block and delivered the blow.
You know, if you run the same play over and over, eventually the defense is going to pick it up.
I think we just saw that there. 2nd and 13 on the Oregon State 36-yard line. Rudock in the shotgun. Takes the snap. Has time firing to Jake Butt. And Butt makes the reception, is brought down at the Oregon State 30, setting up a 3rd and 7. Justin Strong there to make the stop. With 6:35 left to go in the opening half, Oregon State on top 7-3.
Generous spot, looks like 3rd and 5. Maybe forward progression. The thought there from the referees is a big play for the Wolverines. Can they convert and keep this long drive going?
They're on the Oregon State 28-yard line, so they are in field goal range. 2 receivers out wide to the left. Davion Smith on the right hip of Rudock, who's in the shotgun. 2 seconds on the play clock. Gets the snap off. Rudock drops back. Has plenty of time. Fires it. And Ian Bunting, makes the reception. Picks up the first down, but there's a flag down. Ian Bunting picked up the first down by a yard, but we'll see what this flag is for.
4 referees discussing offensive pass interference.
So this appears to probably have been one of those rub routes where a receiver sets an illegal pick, and the referees were on it. Jehu Chesson was flagged for offensive pass interference. We'll have to take a look at the replay, but that sets Michigan back out of field goal range. It's a 15-yard penalty, so Michigan will go back near midfield for this next one.
Yeah, looking at the backside of that play, looked like Jehu Chesson got in the face of one of the linebackers.
And I think that's one of those where Chesson just simply has to do a better job. His job is to simply get in the way, not to deliver a hit. And the lowering of the shoulder on that one, I think, is probably what drew the flag. So instead of the first down, Michigan will have a 3rd and 20 from the Oregon State 43-yard line. So they got to get yards here. 3 receivers out wide to the left. Rudock in the shotgun. Takes the snap. Has time. Steps up in the pocket. Firing to Amara Darboh. Can't break through the tackle, but he gets Michigan back into field goal range. It'll be about 4th and 5. Finally wrapped up by a gang of Oregon State tacklers at the Oregon State 28-yard line.
And I think there's certainly a possibility that Michigan could go for it here. 4th and...
Not only a possibility, they're going to go for it.
4th and 5. And we saw last week when Michigan attempted that field goal from 44 yards and Kenny Allen missed. And then afterwards in the replay, Jim Harbaugh was seen mouthing the words, "I should have gone for that." Now Harbaugh on the sideline trying to quiet the crowd. flapping his arms like a bird.
4th and 5 on the Oregon State 28-yard line. Rudock takes the shotgun snap. Has plenty of time, fires it. Davion Smith wide open. Gets to the 20. Shakes through the first wave of tacklers. Is bolted down, but gets to the 8-yard line of Oregon State. A huge pickup on 4th and 5 as Davion Smith scampered for 20 yards and gets inside the 10 for the Wolverines.
Excellent job by the offensive line. Only 3 rushers for Oregon State, but keeping strong, giving Rudock that extra second or two in the pocket.
Rudock quickly to the line, hands this one off to Smith. Pulls his way forward down the left side, getting into the Oregon State territory, dragging tacklers, nearly got to the end zone. And it was a pickup of 5, but it was a well-earned 5 yards, and Michigan now on the doorstep of taking the lead, the first lead they would have under Jim Harbaugh.
You look at the face of Davion Smith right now. He's absolutely in the zone. He wants this. In that huddle, he's probably saying to Jake Rudock, give me the ball, I'll put it in.
4:20 left to go in the opening half. Michigan down 3-7.
Flag on the
Flag
field.
down on the field. Flags from all over the place. Illegal substitution against the defense. Something you rarely see. So not sure how that's called. Oregon State had one too many men, though.
12 men, yeah.
So it's either you get it called before the play or after, and I think that almost benefits Oregon State. It was on the 3, so it simply moves it up to the 1.5-yard line.
Romo Mamiea, the one coming off there.
2nd and 1 for Michigan on the doorstep. Rudock hands it off to Smith. Rushing out the right side, breaks through the tackle, into the end zone, touchdown Michigan! Davion Smith gives Michigan their first lead under head coach Jim Harbaugh. On top of the Beavers, 9-7.
Excellent run by Davion Smith. He was met by Jonathan Willis right along the right side of that play. Fought past him and got that extra half yard to get into the end zone on his feet, breaking the tackle. And Michigan going to try and tack on the extra point with Kenny Allen here.
Davion Smith, with the style of running he has, if you try to arm tackle him, he's going to make you look foolish. He did that, shedding the tackle with ease. Getting into the end zone, the PAT is good, and Michigan leads at 10-7 with 4:03 left to go in the opening half. On top of Oregon State as the Wolverines get their first lead under Jim Harbaugh. Davion Smith, they're showing him on the big boards here. Looks like a man who's angry, and he's running angry so far in this game. 43 yards on just 9 carries, 4.8 yards to carry, and the touchdown to give Michigan the lead.
And, you know, no matter what happens in this game, that's going to be a really good highlight drive for the Wolverines. You know, 12 plays, 7 minutes off the clock on that drive, 69 yards. You know, Michigan just absolutely punishing Oregon State on the line, running the ball play after play and you know, running their game. You know, there were 11 minutes on the clock when that drive started, and those are the drives that if you can run that type of drive in the fourth quarter, you know, either coming from behind or in a close game and really just eat up the clock. You know, running that type of offense is going to be huge for this Michigan team moving down. And also Jake Rudock, he was a real highlight on that drive, stepping up in the pocket a few times and making good throws, having good patience, finding men. You know, he came in as a guy that was touted for his accuracy. He was nothing super exciting, no big downfield accurate throws, but you know, kind of an NFL type passer, a game manager that can really find his receivers. We saw that there on that drive.
Harbaugh comes in with a pro-style offense, and I think nothing symbolizes that more than a drive that's 12 plays, 69 yards, and took 7 minutes and 1 second. That's something you rarely see in this day and age in college football, where it's all up-tempo and spread offenses. That's a drive that ate up half a quarter and resulted in a touchdown for Michigan, and Davion Smith did a lot of the work there. The last 3 plays, he was the ball carrier. The screen pass picked up 20 yards on 4th and 5. He has the 5-yard gain on the next carry, and then gets into the end zone. Davion Smith, a week ago, some people were questioning whether, when Drake Johnson returned, whether Drake Johnson would become the new starting running back, because Smith had trouble finding a lot of those holes. It appears he's doing a lot better in this game, and sure, it's an Oregon State defense that lost 9 starters from a year ago, but you've got to give Smith credit because he's breaking through a lot of tackles, and he's running angry. and you can afford to miss some of those holes when you're going to break through tackles anyway. He did a lot of that on that last drive to give Michigan their first lead of the game, 10-7 over Oregon State with 4:03 left to go in the opening half.
Crowd here in Ann Arbor getting hype now with the lead, looking to keep that lead before halftime. If Michigan can force a quick 3-and-out or force a turnover here, they're going to be looking at an opportunity to take a big lead, and that's probably what they're going to do here. You expect DJ Durkin to be aggressive on the defense, try and limit Oregon State to nothing much on the ground.
Kenny Allen kicks this one deep, and it's a high one out of bounds. Not a good kick. Another flag, and that's going to be an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, potentially against Delano Hill. The kick went out of bounds, so Oregon State at worst starting at their own 35, depending on this other penalty flag, which I believe is for unnecessary roughness.
I didn't quite catch the number. It might have been Chris Hayes, but somebody from Oregon State was called for unsportsmanlike conduct. I think Delano Hill was running down the field, and then whoever it was for Oregon State,
they
pulled
pick
him
up
down.
the penalty. So Oregon State, which had good field position a moment ago, and it appears the Oregon State blocker did not release his man Delano Hill after the whistle was blown. So Oregon State will simply start this one from their own 20. Tough break for the Beavers, who are now trailing for the first time in this game, and you'd much rather start at the 35 than the 20, but after the personal foul penalty, it negates the kickoff out of bounds. But that is also a concern. Is not sure if the design, and I think it was, for a high kick, force Oregon State to return it and get your coverage team upfield, but just poorly executed is Kenny Allen, his second kickoff of the season to go out of bounds, the other one being the onside kick attempt against Utah to close out the game.
He's also kicking into quite a stiff wind here, the wind coming straight out of the north end zone, right around 15, 20 miles an hour. So, breezy and cold here in Ann Arbor for a first home game. Normally it's in the 80s and everybody's sweating out of their shirts. Today, walking to the stadium was a little brisk. Felt like real fall football weather.
As it's supposed to be. With Jim Harbaugh, even the weather cooperates to what he wants, and we certainly have that today. Kickoff temperature around 60 degrees, and a breeze that's good for temperature, but not enough to really affect the football game too much. However, the end zone opposite the student section will have a breeze in its favor if the kicking game comes to be a factor in the second half. So Oregon State will start this next drive with 4:03 left to go in the opening half. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football. I'm Leo Blavin alongside Eli Sherman. Michigan on top of Oregon State, 10-7 as Jim Harbaugh makes his debut as head coach of the Wolverines in the Big House. And if you're Michigan here, you have all three timeouts. Oregon State's an up-tempo team anyway, so they're not the type to try to run out the clock with 4 minutes. But Michigan's defense can get a quick stop. They may have the opportunity to not only get the ball once, but possibly twice.
Yeah, this is going to be a good test for Michigan's defense and certainly a kind of a good meter stick point. Where are they? Can they control an offense in it's not a 2-minute situation, but Oregon State certainly will be looking to score quickly rather than trying to draw things out. This isn't an offense that runs the 7-minute drive, the 7-minute type drives that Michigan just ran. So can DJ Durkin, get his guys prepped in time for the snap and find who the read option is going to go to.
Oregon State starts this one from their own 20-yard line. 1st and 10, trailing by 3. Collins takes a snap, fires it out wide to Bolden. Victor Bolden gets past the first down marker, picks up 17 on that 1st and 10 connection, and gets all the way down to the Oregon State 37-yard line.
Great bubble screen, and that's the guy that you want to throw to. He's shifty. He can get around the cornerbacks and be quick. You saw him get right past Jared Wilson there and get way downfield. It's a good pickup for first down.
3 receivers out wide to the right for this first down step for Collins. Collins firing it to the opposite side of the field. And great coverage there for Channing Stribling. He tried to connect with Jordan Villeman, did Collins, but Stribling was having none of it, forcing the incompletion.
Yeah, Stribling did a good job of screening the eyes of the receiver, getting his hand up in there, didn't try for the ball. so far today, we've seen Michigan's defensive backs not so much go for the ball, maybe something they're coaching here now.
Bolden, the motion man, trips himself up on the jet sweep. Pickup of 3. I think he had more room than he took advantage of, but you run enough of those jet sweeps, and we've seen a few players, including Rudock, struggle with this turf. Sometimes it can be slippery. And Bolden, a victim there on that jet sweep, setting up a 3rd and 7 from the Oregon State 39-yard line.
Michigan stacking the left side of the field.
Caleb Smith, the tight end. Chris Brown, the running back. Bolden comes in motion from right to left. Collins looking that way, firing in the direction, and he overthrew him. He had him. He put a bit too much on it and threw it over the head of Bolden, but Bolden would have put Oregon State in Michigan territory if they could connect there. He had his man beat. Instead, it's incomplete, and Oregon State will be forced to punt with 3:05 left to go in the opening half. So Michigan will get the ball back with an opportunity to increase their lead, up 10-7 currently.
Jabril Peppers came out real lucky there, got beat on a double cut coming across the field, and then the overthrow on the QB hurry makes the difference. Defensive line showing that they're in control of this game.
Karabsky fields the high snap, and Michigan was unable to get there in time, and there's going to be a penalty. Peppers makes the fair catch at the 25-yard line, but the Michigan man trying to make the block, Jeremy Clark, just came in a bit too hot, and the penalty goes against him. And that's a tough break for Michigan as the high snap bobbled. If you're Clark, you're going to block that kick, but you have to know to let up. And great play by Perebski to get the kickoff in time.
I think that's a bad call by the referees there. Jeremy Clark was right there.
And Harbaugh absolutely livid on the sideline, throwing his play cards on the ground. He's really letting the head linesman hear it on the sideline. The referees, he is not let up just yet, but Oregon State, after the personal foul, takes over at the Michigan 39-yard line, and now Harbaugh takes a timeout. And I'm not sure what this timeout's for other than for him to just continue to let out his frustration. He is absolutely furious.
And he has every right. As I was saying, Jeremy Clark was a foot away from Bostrebsky when he got that kick off.
But I've never seen anything like this. He took a timeout to continue to yell at the referees. Defense was lined up. He took a timeout because he's not done yet, almost like an umpire going face-to-face with a manager. He's simply getting right in the face of the head referee to let him know he's very upset with that call.
He's Jim Harbaugh, and he's saying that he's in control of the stadium. This is his house now, and he's marking his territory.
He's made it abundantly clear. That's for sure. Is Jim Harbaugh still discussing with the referees? Back to the football, though. Oregon State, after the personal foul in Michigan territory, it'll be 1st and 10 at the Michigan 46-yard line. 2:57 left to go in the opening half. So now Oregon has an opportunity after the Jeremy Clark roughing the kicker penalty to take back the lead.
Yeah, Oregon State, as we discussed, going to be looking for a quick score here. That's what they do. They run that quick read option type offense. And Michigan, again, they had a good defense going on. They just let up that first catch to Victor Bolden on the bubble screen, the first play of this drive, and since then it's been absolute dominance and special teams penalty that really shouldn't have been called is what extended this. I think if they can continue to play the same regimented defense, consistent and within their own means, really, they should have success and be able to get the ball back before halftime.
And I'm sure that's going to be a clip we will see on SportsCenter for about the next month or so, as Jim Harbaugh at one point dropped his play sheet and punted it. He was really livid and really letting the referees have it. And that's the type of move as a veteran head coach where you'll certainly start to see some calls that perhaps are toss-ups go Michigan's way, as it tends to have an impact, especially a guy with the personality and the reputation of a Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, it's
perhaps
like,
no more intimidating coach on the sidelines than Jim.
It kind of reminds you of the theory in baseball that the aces get better calls from an umpire just because they're the ace. The umpire assumes that they're a better pitcher, so they give them more calls. Same thing here. I think he's trying to get his intimidation in there, get his voice heard, not so that that he would ever not that he would ever actually get the call overturned, but so that the next 5 calls go his way. We're looking at a video posted on Twitter right now. He absolutely trashed his play cards. You got to feel for the graduate assistant that had to run behind him and pick those up as they were scattered across the playing field.
1st and 10 for Oregon State on the Michigan 46-yard line. 2:57 left to go in the opening half. Michigan on top 10-7. The crowd into it now after the roughing the punter penalty gives Oregon State a second chance on this offensive possession. And a deep ball thrown in the direction of Villeman, and it's broken up at the last minute. Villeman appeared to be there making the catch, skying over the defender. But Jordan Lewis on the cover to break it up, and he's slow to get up. Hopefully just the wind knocked out of him. He's moving his legs and he's moving his arms, but he's shaken up and wobbly to get up. So you hate to see that, but the first thing you have to think when you see a guy struggling to walk in a straight line is a concussion, or hopefully just the wind knocked out of him. But he goes back to a knee now, taking the helmet off. And
yeah, that didn't look good. It looked like he got a knee to the head maybe as he came down.
And Harbaugh comes from the sideline out there, and whenever the head coach has to come out for an injury, you don't like to see that, and that would be a tough loss for Michigan. Jennings dribbling, already an inexperienced cornerback, taking the left side, but to lose your starting cornerback on the right side, Jordan Lewis, would be a very tough blow, as Villeman's had his opportunities in this game, and Michigan struggled at times against the passing attack. They do not have the depth to really afford to lose a starting cornerback.
This is perhaps something that Michigan, if he's all right, Jordan Lewis will probably sit out the rest of the half. We could see him after halftime, depending on what the concussion protocol says. But it looked like his head tucked underneath his body. His neck took a real lashing there, bending, kind of cockeye as he came down. But now, maybe expect Oregon State to test the corners. And
Jeremy Clark steps in his place, the man who picked up the roughing the punter penalty, now in at cornerback for this 2nd and 10 for the Beavers. Seth Collins forced to run out of the pocket. He has a lot of room, diving towards the first down marker, about 2 yards short. Sets up a 3rd and 2 from the Michigan 38-yard line. Beavers down by a field goal, trying to get back into field goal range with 2:35 left to go in the opening half.
Mario Jamudia had some nice pressure in the backfield, but just a little too slow for the speedy Seth Collins.
3rd and 2, ball on the Michigan 38-yard line for the Beavers. Deltron Sands in the backfield. It'll be a keeper for Seth Collins, spinning through one tackle. He's not going to get to the first down marker, but you'd almost certainly expect Oregon State to go for it from here.
Great vision by Chris Wormley. Desmond Morgan coming in there on the strong side of the play. Seth Collins, he's been shifty all day, been able to really make the Wolverines have to play on their back heels, but that time Michigan picked it up right off the bat.
And another great play by Royce Jenkins Stone, who's had a few in this game, spinning off his blocker and making the stop. And Oregon State, it appears, will take a timeout, letting the play clock run down. Decision time for the Beavers. 2 timeouts left for Oregon State. And instead, they may just take the penalty. So it appears they will punt, give their punter a bit more room. Delay a game will push the ball back to the 44-yard line of Michigan. So their punter will be able to punt from his own 40-yard line. Looking to pin the Wolverines deep with 1:29 left to go in the opening half. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football. Leo Blavin alongside Eli Sherman. And Eli, Michigan will take over in their own territory with 2 timeouts. And that's the one thing that hurts Michigan here, is with Harbaugh having his meltdown and taking the timeout there, leaves Michigan with just 2 timeouts trying to drive up the field. And I'll correct that again, just 1 timeout as Michigan takes one here. A surprising call. I guess they weren't prepared for whatever the special teams coach Baxter was expecting from Oregon State.
Yeah, Jared Wilson was the 12th man on the field, had to come off. I think there was a miscommunication. Looked like maybe he thought DeMonte Thomas was supposed to come off, and he realized that, he's a senior. He realized that there were 12 men, and he said, I got to get off if nobody else is going to do it. And Michigan picked it up, so now only 1 timeout. That's going to play into Oregon State's hand here. If I'm Oregon State and, I'm Nick Porebski, I'm going to just try and punt towards the corner, get a coffin corner kick, because they're still, they're punting from the 44-yard line. That's not much room for a punter. And a touchback isn't that great of a result. So, punting towards the sideline, even if it goes out at the 10, that's better than kicking it through the end zone or giving Jabril Peppers a chance.
Porebski gets this punt off cleanly, takes a Michigan bounce, and then as it's headed towards the end zone, it kicks right. So Oregon State gets the break on that one. Michigan will start this drive from their own 2-yard line. So even if they want to run out the clock, they're not going to be able to kneel it, at least on first down with 1:19 left to go in the half. Michigan on top 10-7. And I said Michigan bounce because initially it bounced straight towards the end zone, and then at about the 2-yard line, kicked right. So a Michigan bounce followed by a Beaver bounce, and now Michigan will start this one at their own 2. What do you expect from the Wolverines here? You do have one timeout. You do have over a minute left to play.
Either an illegal formation or a false start after that play, so they're actually going to have to re-punt. I didn't see the flag there.
Yeah, and I have to apologize. I didn't see it either. So Oregon State will re-kick, and perhaps Michigan will get better luck this time around with 1:19 left to go in the opening half.
These refs have been all over the place so far today. Some questionable spots. Certainly that running into the kicker penalty on the last Oregon State punt, that did Oregon State the benefit of knocking off an additional minute and a half for the clock in Michigan, a little bit less time.
And this is a high snap over the head of Porebski. He's running back to try to cover it up. He'll be able to do just that, but he's wrapped up at the 2-yard line. Unbelievable sequence of events. Delano Hill wrapped him up. However, Porebski, the snap went well over his head. He picked it up at his own 2-yard line, and Delano Hill there to make the stop. Michigan back in business with 1:12 left to go in the opening half. Unbelievable.
2 high snaps in a row from the long snapper for Oregon State. The first one we saw ended up being that running into the punter penalty on Jeremy Clark. This one, Porebski just chased the ball. That's got to be the worst position in sports, having to chase down a punt like that. If I'm Porebski, I just kick that ball through the end zone, take the safety, because
he would have been better off doing that.
It turns into what's likely a touchdown for Michigan. They're on the 3-yard line. They're just going to be able to pound this one in with 1:12 and 3 yards to go.
Ryan Navarro, the long snapper, his second bad snap of the game, but this one was about 10 feet over his punter's head. Michigan takes over on the Oregon State 3-yard line. Rudock hands it off to Smith, bouncing right up the middle, and Oregon State wraps him up at about the 1-yard line. Oregon State with 2 timeouts, Michigan with 1, but time not a factor.
Yeah, Michigan will certainly let the clock run so that even if they are forced to go for a field goal, Oregon State wouldn't have much more than 10 seconds left on the clock to try and run an offense.
So Oregon State gets a punt down to the 2-yard line. This one goes out of bounds, or the next one is a snap that goes over the head of their punter. Now Michigan takes over. The handoff to Carriage, bullying his way through at the goal line, still waiting for a signal.
I think they're going to have to check the replay on that. I think he was well into the end zone before he got pushed back.
20 seconds on the clock. Now Michigan's got to hurry. Now a stoppage on the field. Refs have yet to make it clear quite what happened.
Looks like Gary Anderson now going to take a timeout for Oregon State.
Oregon State taking a timeout, and that's surprising because now Michigan has their whole playbook open to them. They can pass or run with the 1 timeout remaining, so they don't have to worry about getting stopped and getting the field goal unit out if that's the direction they choose. So surprising by Gary Anderson to use the timeout. If Michigan, which they would have been forced to take a timeout there, they would have likely taken the running play out of their playbook for this 3rd and goal snap from the Oregon State 1-yard line. And as I was talking about a moment ago, Oregon State has a punt go out of bounds at the 2-yard line. It's called back for an illegal formation. The subsequent punting attempt, the snap goes well over the head of the punter. He's wrapped up at the 2-yard line, and Michigan takes over on the goal line, trying to take a 17-7 lead going into the half.
I'm sure there were a few fans in the stadium saying "ball don't lie" after that one. I think, that poor call on the running into the punter penalty. It's things even out over the course of the game, and that was an example of it there. Michigan getting the benefit of that long snap.
14 seconds left to go in the opening half. Michigan on top 10-7. 3rd and 1 from the 1-yard line of Oregon State. Michigan looking to punch this one in.
Michigan's offense standing around the field, I think, waiting for an indication from the referee, or maybe waiting for Oregon State to make a play call. Not really clear.
I think what you may have said,
delay.
too, may hold true. They may actually be looking to review this one.
The back judge is looking down the field towards someone.
Now we're ready to get back underway. 17 seconds left in the first half. 3rd and goal from the 1 for the Wolverine. Rudock hands it off to Smith. Running in the right side. Pulls his way in. Touchdown, Michigan. Davion Smith is second of the game, and the Wolverines lead it 16-7.
Davion Smith showing that he is absolutely taking a stranglehold on the starting running back position here for the Wolverines, showing that he can do it in the short yardage situations. Take contact and keep going. Those legs keep churning. Looks like Mike Hart running down there on the field. He just does not stop running until he's absolutely down on the ground.
And you look back to that Gary Anderson decision to take a timeout, because I'm almost certain if Michigan's forced to use a timeout there, they're not going to be able to run the ball and risk not being able to get the field goal unit. But Gary Anderson took the timeout with 17 seconds left, and Michigan was able to call a running play, executed to perfection for the touchdown. The PAT is good. And with 12 seconds left to go in the half, it's Michigan 17, Oregon State 7 on the WCBN Sports Radio Network. Leo Blavin alongside Eli Sherman. Eli, Michigan's going to go into the locker room with a ton of confidence. Oregon State struck first, but Michigan scored 17 straight to close out the first half. 42 rushing yards total for Michigan, but those 42 rushing yards have been extremely useful rushing yards. 2 of them have equated to touchdowns, 91 yards through the air, but it's really been the Michigan defense and special teams play that'll leave Wolverine fans grinning going into the half.
Yeah, to be honest, this looked like a good game for Michigan, but on paper, it's been absolutely ugly. You know, the offense has really struggled to pick up yards, but they've done what they need to do when they need to do it. They've really dominated the field position game, and that's the big difference for this Michigan team. Is, you know, last year special teams was such a negative, and now it's turned right around. You know, people are saying, oh, Harbaugh's going to do this and that with the defense, this and that with the offense, but really the big change has been special teams, and that's going to be the difference maker in close games for evenly matched teams coming down the stretch for this Michigan team as they go into Big Ten play.
Kenny Allen's kickoff sails deep into the end zone, where the Beavers will be forced to take a knee. So with 12 seconds left to go in the opening half, it's Michigan 17, Oregon State 7. The Beavers taking over at their own 25-yard line. 1 timeout, so likely just a run play or a kneel down to end the first half. But as you said, special teams play there goes Michigan's way. And sometimes you have to get the good breaks to win football games. And the snap from Ryan Navarro went well over the head of the punter, Nick Porebski. He chased it down to the 2-yard line, where he was wrapped up by Hill, setting up Michigan on the doorstep, which Davion Smith converted for a touchdown. Oregon State kneels out the first half. And at the half, it's Michigan 17, Oregon State 7. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football. For Eli Sherman, I'm Leo Blavin. We'll be back with second half coverage in a moment on the WCBN Sports Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Big House, Michigan Stadium here in Ann Arbor for the second half of the Oregon State Beavers taking on the University of Michigan Wolverines. For this call for the second half, my name is CJ Stone. Alongside, I have with me David Carlson for this call. David, what did you think of the first half for the Wolverines?
Well, first of all, CJ, it's great to be back at the Big House. 100,000 fans probably plus out here. It's an overcast afternoon. Wind blowing in either direction. It's about 55 to 65 degrees out here. It's beautiful football weather. It really is.
It's great. As Eli Sherman said earlier, normally first game of the season, sweltering hot, you're kind of worried you're going to burn alive outside. But this is like it feels like it's the first day of fall almost.
Right. I mean, it's September 12th. Usually the first game at the Big House is the end of August, first week of September, a little bit later, but that really shouldn't make much of a difference. It is football weather out here, and I love it. And to be honest with you, I really love what the Wolverines are doing, especially after their first defensive drive. I think they kind of took a shot to the face in the first quarter when a couple of really good plays were made. Ended up in a touchdown by, I believe, Hunter Jarman in the back of the end zone. Made a Sports Center-like catch to put the Beavers up by 7. But then 17 unanswered points from Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines. Jake Rudock has yet to be sacked. The offensive line is holding up very well, and the defense has played, I'd say outstanding since that first series.
That's exactly what I was thinking as well. As Michigan seemed to kind of catch on to what the Beavers were trying to do with their quarterback, Seth Collins. Collins is a much more shifty back and is able to run and try to generate plays when there's nothing there. And Michigan's done a good job of getting him contained at the very end. So coming up for the second half, what do you want to see from the Wolverines coming out the gate?
More of the same stuff. I mean, they're pressing on offense. Their playbook has a variety to it that Harbaugh and offensive coordinator are running. And I think just play solid on defense. Don't look to make too many plays down the field that are going to get you into trouble. Keep the momentum, and just play Michigan football.
And we are getting ready to get started here in the third quarter. Garrett Owens is the kicker for the Beavers. In the backfield, there is DeMonte Thomas and Jabril Peppers. Peppers is on the right. Thomas is on the left. We are getting started here in the second half. The kick is up and is going to Peppers, who takes it and thinks about taking the knee, but decides to take it out. He's able to dodge a couple of tackles, gets tripped up at the 10-yard line.
Very good kick from Oregon State. I mean, Peppers had his back heel on the 1 foot in the back of the end zone and 1 foot in play, so he really didn't have any choice but to take that out and try to make a play. Ended up at the 10-yard line. Good kickoff from the Beavers to start the second half.
Nothing Peppers could really do there, as you said. Was able to dodge at least one tackle, get a couple extra yards. But Michigan is going to have to mount a long drive if they want to put some points on the board here in the second.
One guy that's been quiet on offense for Michigan with only 1 or 2 catches today is Jake Butt, who had a really big game and a touchdown last week against Utah. We'll see what Harbaugh and Rudock can maybe draw up for him in the second half.
With the first draw, Rudock was in the shotgun, handed the ball off to Davion Smith. Smith got hit, and he fumbled the ball, but it gets picked up by Jake Butt in enough time. Butt goes a couple of yards, but doesn't really get anything after that. So it's going to be second and, I believe, 9 or 10.
So Smith basically gets popped here right up the middle, loses the football, and, right man at the right time. Jake Butt, picks it up and gains maybe 1 more yard. Similar to a play that happened in the first half where Joe Bolden snagged a fumble out of the air and it created a turnover for the Wolverines in their first start.
Second and 9. Rudock going back to pass, has time, kicks it out to Butt. Butt going up the field, dodges 1 tackle, and is able to get tackled after the yardage for the first down.
And right on cue again. I wanted Jake Butt to get a couple more touches, and here he is, and they're going to have an up-tempo offense, I believe. Butt with a nice catch in the flat here, play action pass with Rudock rolling to his left, just dumps it off and gains the first down.
Justin Strong for the Beavers on the tackle for that one. Rudock 1st and 10. He's lined up under center, has Smith in the backfield. The halfback to his left, 2 receivers to his right. Hands it off to Smith. Smith finds his hole outside, able to go get a couple of yards after scrimmage and gets tackled after about a 6-yard gain.
So something that happened interesting there is right before the ball was snapped, Mason Cole switched ends of the offensive line, moving to the strong side and the right side. And he made a really good initial block there to allow Davion Smith to get to the outside, kind of on that right hash, to pick up a good gain on the ground on 1st down. Good call again by Michigan.
Smith seems to have found his rhythm after having a slightly shaky first quarter with a 9-yard gain right there. 2nd and 1, Rudock in the I formation. He's got Isaac at the dot in the I. Goes back to pass, and he finds number 94, who makes it all the way down to the 47-yard line. A 20-yard pass. That is A.J. Williams. Great catch right there for the senior.
So A.J. Williams, a senior out of Cincinnati. Really good catch. Not really known for his receiving ability, more of a blocking tight end. But the 6'6", 275-pound tight end does make a good catch, and they are into Oregon State territory.
Rudock under center has a running back behind him, but he fakes it. He hands it off. He gets it to number 32, Ty Isaac. Isaac gets tackled with about 1 yard to go before the 1st down. And right now it looks like Michigan has found themselves a rhythm.
So Isaac is a dynamic back, 6'3", redshirt sophomore, transfer from University of Southern California. Played good game last week in Utah and Salt Lake, and gets his first touch right there.
Looks like Isaac is staying in the game as Rudock has him in the back along with 2 halfbacks. He's got a receiver to his right and a receiver to his left. Hands it off. And that's going to be good enough for a 1st down.
So Isaac gets his 2nd touch, and as I mentioned, very dynamic back. He's powerful. He's tall, and he just showed us in those past 2 plays that he can roll out into the flat, catch a ball, and then get the tough 1st down yardage on 2nd and 3rd down.
11:48 here in the 3rd quarter. 1st and 10 at the Oregon State 33. Rudock back to pass, got protection. The ball is tipped, however, but it's going to be incomplete. That was tipped by Jalen Rimble, a senior from Las Vegas for Oregon State.
Pass just a little bit too low, I think. Rimble and the rest of the Oregon State defensive line really didn't have much pressure, but Rimble got his big paw up there and knocked it down. Nothing Rudock could have really done but throw it a little bit higher.
Isaac coming out for Davion Smith. Carriage is in front of Smith. They are in the I formation. There's a receiver to the right as Mar Darbo. Rudock hands it off to Smith, finds a hole, keeps going. He makes it past the 1st down. He keeps going after getting mobbed by Oregon State defenders. That is going to be a 15-yard run all the way down to the Oregon State 12-yard line.
Even closer to around a 20-yard run. I think a gaping hole in the middle of that offensive line. Davion Smith gets it in his chest and basically just pumps it right through the middle. A good block there by Kyle Kalis. And, Michigan once again in business on the Oregon State 14.
That was Davion Smith's longest run of the year so far. Rudock under center. Smith in the backfield. Carriage to his right. He hands it to Smith again. Smith finding another hole. Gets a couple of yards for the 1st run of this set of downs for a solid 4 yards. 2nd and 6.
Kyle Kalis again. And Michigan he's very important, especially in the red zone, when Michigan is going to keep trying to pound the ball on 1st and 2nd down, inching closer and closer to the goal line. If Kalis can move the pile like that, it's going to be a good year for him and the rest of this offensive line. It's going to make Davion Smith's job a lot easier.
It's 2nd and 5. Ball is on the 9-yard line as the Wolverines continue to just run the ball down the throat of Oregon State. It's another one of those long drives that the Wolverines have done, and it looks like Michigan is going to take a timeout here. It's going to be a full media timeout, so it's going to be a little while before we see the team back on the field. But right now, it seems like Michigan has found themselves a rhythm, David.
Absolutely. I mean, they started this drive on their own 10-yard line, marching down, I think, 1 or 2 third downs that they had to convert, maybe even less. And the running game has just been impeccably good to start this second half. A lot of different things, that they've been working on in the past couple of years, and the running game has been kind of a downer for them. They've got a little bit, they've gotten stuff through the air, but never been able to run the ball up the middle of the field as they have on this past drive. So I have an update for you. Jordan Lewis looked like he suffered a concussion in the first half. He is out, and it doesn't look like he's going to return. The injury is definitely undisclosed as of right now, but it looked like a concussion.
And that is definitely a loss for the Wolverines secondary, as we found out that the quarterback for the Beavers, Seth Collins, has a pretty decent arm. Lewis has been doing a good job defending his receivers, so the Michigan secondary is going to have to step up without their best corner on the field.
So just a freshman, Seth Collins, didn't really play like a freshman in the first half. He's definitely controlling his offense. They only put 7 points up on the board, but he's definitely looking like he's much more mature than his age tells. In the big house in front of 100,000 people, coming in here only 18, 19 years old. I've been really impressed with what Collins has had to offer today.
And the one thing you have to wonder about this Michigan offense is that now that they've got the run game established, you got to think that now the passing game has got to open up.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's what we have expected in the past couple of years with a dynamic quarterback like Gardner, and now he's passed the torch to Rudock. It's been eye-opening to me that they can't get the run game going, because once they do, that's right. The defense is going to start cheating, and then the pass game is going to be much more open, down the sideline, up in the middle of the field, and it's going to allow different receivers to get different touches, because every receiver on this team is talented. Mara Darbo, Jake Butt, J.U. Chesson, all these guys have good size, they have good hands. It's just that it's the quarterback's ability to have time in the pocket, which is then opened up by the run game and the offensive line. I mean, I can't say enough about what the offensive line has done, even the past couple of weeks. No sacks yet for Rudock. And every time that a Michigan quarterback can walk off a field without much of a dirt stain on the back of their jersey, that's a win in my book.
And that's definitely a win, especially considering how the offensive line has looked the past few years. It's obviously been the glaring weakness for the Wolverines in both the 2013 and the 2014 season. So it's a confidence builder to see what they did last week, and it's very encouraging to see how they're doing now. Looks like we're going to be getting started again here at the Big House. 10:26 left in the third quarter. 2nd and 5 on the 9-yard line. Rudock lining up in the I formation. Carriage and Smith in the back. He has J.U. Chesson on the left. He hands it off to Smith, who found a hole and gets hit immediately after for about a 1 or 2 yard gain. Nothing really there. Justin Strong with another tackle right there.
Justin Strong and a host of Oregon State Beavers. Stuff Smith on the left side. Harbaugh and company kind of shifted it up a little bit, moving that run to the inner left hash instead of the right side. Gain of a couple yards. Not a bad play to set up a 3rd and 2, I guess.
3rd and 2. Got to think Harbaugh's going to just choose to run it again. And it looks like that's what he's going to do with Smith in the backfield and Rudock under center. It looks like there might be a false start as multiple flags come flying on the field.
Yeah, it's going to be a false start, I believe. And Grant Perry and Jake Butt, along with Darbo, are going to enter the game. And the play is definitely going to change.
That is definitely a false start. That's going to put them back 5 yards and making it a 3rd and 7 instead of a much more manageable 3rd and 2. And as you said, that's going to change the play. That's going to change the calls, because now you've got to expect the Michigan's going to try to throw it here.
Right. Butt comes in, and A.J. Williams and Henry Pogge come out. Looks like more of a passing situation than a running situation after that false start.
Rudock on the shotgun. Smith to his right, 3 receivers to his left. Rudock looks to find the pass, gives it to Darbo, and it gets knocked away, and there's no pass interference on that call. It looked like Darbo was wrapped. It looked like Darbo was wrapped up the entire time.
Wow. You guys can hear in the background, all our listeners, the massive boos from the fans here, and they're just seeing it on the replay now on the big board. Definitely looked like pass interference. The pass came from Rudock to Darbo on the right side of the end zone near the near the pylon, kind of on the end in the Michigan in the end zone. And my goodness, they definitely had their arms wrapped around each other.
This is the second call that the Wolverines have not gotten for them as Kenny Allen goes up for the kick, and that kick is good. The Wolverines still manage to march down the field and score, and the fans are still booing the refs.
So normally 3 points is a W in the Michigan football book, but after that, after having 3rd and 2 at about the 6 or the 7, and then having the false start push them back 5 yards, and then that bad call by the referee, I guess I should say non-call by the referee, as we look down about the 30-yard line, Harbaugh having a nice pleasant, to say the least, conversation with the side judges there.
As he's been doing all game.
Absolutely. Indicating that he disagreed with the call late in the second quarter, or maybe mid-second quarter. Harbaugh basically lost it on the sideline, had a nice little tirade. He dropped his headset, threw down his playbook, and took a timeout actually to continue screaming at the referees at a call that he disagreed with. So much to the liking of the fans here, Jim Harbaugh, an animated head coach, definitely an in-your-face type of guy, whether you're a player or a referee or even another coach. And to my mind, I want your opinion on it too, CJ. That's what this Michigan football program has been looking for the past couple of years.
I got to agree with you on that. Brady Hoke was a much more subdued coach. He didn't really seem to get upset about almost anything. If a play didn't go his way, he kind of just sucked it in and dealt with it instead of showing the emotion that he was actually upset by calls. And sometimes that really does affect you as a player. If you don't see your coach backing you up, if the call is against you and it looks like you made the mistake, if your coach is backing you up, you think that he's there trying to make a case for you that you know you did your job. The referees are the one that screwed it up.
Absolutely.
But luckily for the Wolverines, they're still able to get 3 points out of that and take a 13-point lead with 9:25 left in the third quarter. And I guess the best way to describe the last few plays is you just don't want to leave the call in the referee's hand. You need to try and make the plays a little bit earlier and not make the mistakes that'll cause the referee to have the chance.
Right. I mean, we saw the play call was going to be different after the offensive line basically shot Michigan in the foot with the 3rd and 2 turning into 3rd and 7. But it's difficult to complain. I mean, Kenny Allen now 2 for 2 in field goals. A former walk-on through.
Not to mention that last one was going against the wind.
Yeah,
it is coming towards us.
It was still a chip shot, but absolutely the wind actually looks like it shifted a little bit in Michigan's favor. So. Both into the wind. Both kicks have now been into the wind, with the wind for Kenny Allen today.
Michigan kicking off. Kenny Allen's kick goes high, and it's going to get fielded, but it's going to get dropped. The catcher for the Beavers, drops the ball, but he takes it back 20 yards from the 1 yard line, and that was slightly unexpected as Ramel Dockery ends up dropping the ball, getting the fumble recovery, and somehow dodging 3 tackles for a 20-yard return.
Dockery just took his eye off the ball at the last second and was able to pick it up. He picked it up about the 5 or 6 yard line and got a good gain out of it, but definitely tough for Oregon State there.
Collins hands the ball off to number 21, to Jared Wilson, to Dontrell Sands, and there's going to be a flag on the play. It looks like it's going to be a personal foul on Gerard Wilson. Face mask penalty. Actually, it's on Joe Bolden, excuse me.
Yep,
and
pretty obvious.
Yeah, at the very end, Bolden just kind of rips Stan's neck backward a little bit. Not something you want to see if you're a Wolverines fan. As Collins holds onto the ball, gets out of the pocket, makes the pass to number 10, Caleb Smith. Smith, however, drops it, and that's going to be incomplete. It's going to be 2nd and 10 from the 46.
The best part about that play, though, is the pressure that number 43, Chris Wormley, got on Collins. The guy's been all over the field today, flashing around the ball. Definitely a big playmaker for DJ Durkin.
Collins in the shotgun, hands it off to Storm Bars Woods, who gets stuffed at the line. Desmond Morgan and James Ross on the tackle right there. Good job from the linebackers keeping that from going anywhere. Only a 3-yard gain, 3rd and 7 at the 49-yard line.
So only Woods' second carry today. Last week he had 15 carries for 63 yards. The running is handled by 3 or 4 backs for Oregon State.
Collins in the shotgun. Back to pass, but he decides to take it and gets caught at the line of scrimmage. No gain, and Michigan forces a 3-and-out.
I believe that was big linebacker. Maybe
that was Mario Ojemudia with Ryan Glasgow on the play.
Yeah, Ojemudia definitely not fooled by that. That quarterback draw, or the play-action quarterback draw on 3rd and 7. I don't know what the play call was like that, but Oregon State definitely made a mistake there.
Perebski is going to take the punt, and Jabril Peppers is out to receive. Perhaps he has a hope that his long snapper gives him a good one this time, and it is. He kicks it up, and it's going to go towards Peppers as he calls for the fair catch at the 10-yard line.
Good decision by Peppers. He was backpedaling as he caught the ball at the 10-yard line. Wasn't going to go anywhere. A couple of Oregon State players on special teams were in his grill. And Michigan, again, for the second straight drive, will start around their own 10, 11, 12-yard line.
And you have to start thinking that maybe that's not such a bad thing for the Wolverines now that they've been able to establish their run, mainly because when they've been back that far, they have just killed clock time. And if they can do another drive like what they had earlier, they're going to do the same here again. Rudock lining up in the I formation, Smith in the backfield along with Carriage. He has 2 receivers to his left. Hands it off to Smith. Smith finding a hole, gets some space, dodges the tackle, and gets past another one, barrels down for a 9-yard run. Davion Smith is starting to have himself quite a day.
So last drive we saw Smith use his blockers very effectively. He didn't need blockers that time. He was just pushing piles left and right there as he just bolted his way for a couple more yards, on 1st down. Looks like it's going to be
2nd and 2 on the 20-yard line. Rudock lining up with Smith in the backfield with 2 fullbacks. Hands it to Smith. Smith not able to find a hole this time. Kind of gets caught in the middle, but it looks like he might have gotten the 1st down there.
Got some help from Joe Carriage, I believe, the fullback, on that play as Smith.
And that's going to be a 1st down for the Wolverines right there. So far, so good. Right now, Oregon State seems to just be having some trouble trying to stop Smith, as Smith has been running angry since the 2nd quarter. Now, Ty Isaac is in the game. Rudock from the shotgun. He dodges a tackle and runs, dives forward for about maybe a 3 or 4 yard gain there. Good job with the awareness to not take the sack.
Rudock did avoid the sack very well there. In Oregon State, I believe it's almost a corner linebacker blitz. This guy came unblocked. And Rudock agilely avoids that sack and picks up a good chunk of 5 yards on 1st down.
That was the nose tackle, Kyle Pico, who missed that tackle in the backfield. Rudock under center, Smith in the backfield. Jake Butt moves over to as a guarding tight end, hands it to Smith. Smith finds the outside. He breaks a tackle and almost hurdles forward. Going to be probably about a yard short of the first. Oh, Actually, that's going to be a first down. Tackled by Larry Scott, but not in time.
Davion Smith picking up 10.5 yards there, got 2 plays off, and then Harbaugh says, get right back in there and get us 10 more. Definitely the workhorse in this second half is Davion Smith.
You got to wonder if that's just the type, if that's because of the type of runner he is. Smith is a runner whose feet never really stop moving. Now, Rudock in the shotgun. 2 receivers to his right, 1 to his left, 1 to his right. He's got time. He throws it. J.U. Chesson makes the catch at the 30. He dodges the tackle, runs past for a first down, and that is a big run for the receiver, Chesson.
J.U. Chesson makes a nice catch near the sideline from Rudock after 1 pump fake, and then gives the defensive back a little shoulder shake there, and then gets 5, 6, 7 extra yards than he would have normally got as he passed that defensive back up right there. Good open field running from J.U. Chesson.
Now Michigan going right back to the run game. I formation. Smith in the backfield. Flips it to Smith. Smith dodges a tackle. Gets caught up at the line of scrimmage, however, and that's not going to go anywhere.
I'll tell you, though, if he had shaked that tackler, he would have maybe gone to the house because Henry Pogge, the fullback, had given him a block up the field where he would have definitely passed that guy up. And if he had shaken that one tackler that was the eventual tackler, it would have been 6.
Smith now coming out of the game with Ty Isaac coming in. Rudock under center. He has a receiver to his right. J.U. Chesson moves from his left to his right as well. He hands it to Isaac, who flips it back to Chesson. Chesson in the backfield still, trying to find a way upfield, able to get some yardage from that play.
So a little end around there from the Michigan Wolverines as Isaac, as I said, dynamic player, right? Flips it to J.U. Chesson, who is in motion, cuts back the other way, and then turns the defense around and gets about 5 yards on second down.
It's going to be 3rd and 5 at the 49. Wolverines trying to continue to march down the field. Rudock now in the shotgun. He's got 2 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. Jake Butt is in a receiving position. Grant Perry moves to the side. Rudock with time, going deep, going for Darboh. Darboh almost makes the catch. It hits the ground at the very end. Actually, that was going for J.U. Chesson. Excuse me.
So Chesson started in motion at the line of scrimmage there and ended up on the far right side of Jake Rudock. So this is a pass that was, made to his strong side, and it was one-on-one coverage down the field, and Rudock simply underthrew it. No, neither the defensive back nor Chesson had a chance at that point.
Nothing that could be done with that play. Rudock tried, but to no avail. Michigan's forced to punt. 3 minutes, 20 seconds left here in the 3rd quarter. Blake O'Neill into punt. O'Neill's punt is another line drive punt, not too high, and that's going to be called a fair catch.
So Michigan takes a good 3-4 minutes off the game clock there on their drive, pounding the ball on the ground as they're up 13 points.
And that's something you still are happy to see if you're the defense, because that gives you enough time to rest.
Yes.
There were plenty of times last year where the Wolverines would go 3 and out within the span of 3 minutes. The defense would have to come right back on the field, and they would be gassed. Instead, now the defense comes back a little bit more rested than they were earlier, and they might be able to do something.
They lost the time of possession battle against Utah last week, but I would not be surprised if they're winning the battle this week. As you said, CJ, the more you can keep that defense on the sideline, the more prepared they are to really go to battle against an opposing offense.
And it's so far been a very effective day for the Michigan run game, as they have been able to find some holes that they had not found in the past. And that's something that you got to give Davion Smith credit for. Last week, he was pretty much called out by the media for not being able to find a couple of the big holes that happened. And this game, he's done the exact opposite. He's found the holes to keep going. As for the other games going on around the NCAA college football world right now, we have Florida State is beating USF 14-24. Auburn is in a surprising battle against Jacksonville State 13-10.
Auburn, the number 6 ranked team in the nation, against a lowly Jacksonville State. As you said, in a battle, Jacksonville State actually was leading at halftime 10-6, and Auburn has since come back with a score of their own. That game is in the third quarter, about to head to the fourth. We will keep you updated on that one.
That would be one of the biggest upsets of this NCAA season so far. Along with some other games that are blowouts, especially Appalachian State versus Clemson, who Clemson is beating 31-0. We have completed a couple of games today as well. One moment. In the Big Ten, Illinois is in the third quarter. They are beating Western Illinois 30-0. And in a surprising situation, Bowling Green's game is delayed against Maryland. However, we are now back to the action. 3 minutes, 14 seconds left. Seth Collins in the shotgun, back trying to find a passer, gets lit up. And actually, Marcus McMaryion has come into the game.
So Marcus McMaryion, number 3 on the Oregon State offense, was met by number 3 on the Michigan defense. That was Desmond Morgan, who I think basically broke up this pass. He applied pressure and altered the pass of McMaryion. Good defensive pressure there from the senior.
Gotta wonder why McMarion's coming in, as Collins was not having a bad day, but McMaryion feels the snap at the backfield, hands it off to Detrell Sands, and goes absolutely nowhere.
So McMaryion threw a pick 6 last week in their opening game, and Michigan fans are looking for one right here.
Okay. That was Victor Bolden on the last carry, excuse me. Oh, and it looks like Bolden has just tripped up a referee as well. Oregon State lining up in the shotgun. Looks like McMaryion is still out there. 5 receivers on the field, 2 to the right, 2 to the right, 3 to the left, and that's going to be a false start on number 77, Sean Harlow.
It's either Harlow or Dustin Stanton. I couldn't tell. I think it was on that right side of that offensive line.
Ends up being Dustin Stanton, and the defense is hyping up the crowd. It's going to be 3rd and 14 on the Michigan 11-yard line.
It's getting loud in here, and I think it's getting to Oregon State's head. 3rd and manageable turns into 3rd and long.
Marcus McMaryion in the shotgun. 5 receivers deep, and he's going to be sacked!
Ooh. Chris Wormley.
What a play by Chris Wormley, having himself a day.
Chris Wormley, as I said earlier, all over the football all day, but my goodness, he comes unblocked here. Look at this. Actually, there was one guy in his way, but he just basically shook him off, got right to McMaryion, and, that's a man-child right there. Chris Wormley, my goodness.
And thanks to that great sack, the ball is on the 2-yard line, and Nick Porebski is going to have to punt from the back of his own end zone. It's almost blocked, as Peppers is going to have to field it off of a hop, and he's going to end up grabbing it, trying to take it back. Dodges a couple tackles, but doesn't go anywhere. Catches it at the 40-yard line.
So for the second time today, Brian Cole, number 41, in maize and blue, almost gets to the punt block. And I think it definitely altered the timing of that kick, allowing Peppers to field it. It got a bad bounce. It kind of bounced away from him toward the sideline. If it hadn't, I think he would have had more room to take it up the sideline. A decent return there, made one guy miss. And, as usual, Jabril Peppers showing his athleticism. But my goodness, Chris Wormley. Wow.
Minute 24, 1st and 10 on the 39-yard line here in the third quarter. Rudock lining up with 3 receivers to his left, 1 to his right with Davion Smith in the backfield. Jake Bunt is blocking a tight end. Gives the ball to Smith. Smith finds a hole, dodges a tackle, breaks a second tackle, keeps going down the field for the first down.
Davion Smith has impressed me in the past 20 minutes more than any other football player I've seen all day. He's done a couple of different things as a running back. He's gotten to the outside using his speed. He's been patient following his blockers. He knows when to explode. Really good block right there from Graham Glasgow, the Aurora, Illinois native, and he's just a really big guy, veteran guy, who made a good block on that left side, allowing Michigan to pick up the first down on the ground.
Rudock under center. Hands the ball to Smith again. Smith getting a good block by his offensive line. Dodges 2 tackles and is going to make it for a first down, but there's a flag on the field. You got to think that one's probably coming back.
Probably a hold. Kyle Kalis, I don't know if it was on him, but I've mentioned his name a couple times now. Made a good block on the outside for Smith to bounce out of there. It could have been Ben Braden as well. Wow, that's confusing. 71 and Mason Blue, both on the offensive line.
And it looks like there's a pretty bad injury on the field as the training staff was immediately out there. Ends up being a personal foul. It's gonna be.
It looks like it's gonna be a chop block
on Treston
Decoud.
And right now there's an Oregon State player who is limping off the field, and that's Justin Strong, one of the leading players on this defense.
Justin Strong made 6 tackles last week against Weber State.
Had some big tackles today.
Yeah, a couple big tackles today. Definitely pertinent to the success of that defense.
1st and 10 on the 35, 37 seconds left. Rudock back to pass, dodges a tackle, runs forward, gets it to Butt, who takes it, dodges another tackle, and keeps going forward. He's going to get a first down on the play.
So that's Ian Bunting, the backup tight end, number 89. Made a couple guys miss. Haven't called his name all that often. We're used to calling plays like that for Jake Butt, but that was Bunting that time. Really good move there, and once again, the Wolverines find themselves in business. When they shoot themselves in the foot and get backed up, they get right back up and move right down the field.
And right now, 1st and 10, 13 seconds left on the 14-yard line. Got to think they're going for one here. 8 seconds left on the clock. Maybe waiting till the time about to run out. 3 seconds
left. Switch
left.
sides of the field.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Switching sides on the field. And Ian Bunting with the huge grab.
Here's what I'll say about this quarter, CJ. Totally controlled by the Michigan Wolverines. Totally. Completely. And that's really good to see on the offensive side and the defensive side. The running game really strong, but Michigan looks like it's in business, and the confidence level that this team is playing at right now is very impressive.
Haven't seen this team this confident in a long, long time. We are going into the 4th quarter here, and now joining me as my color for the rest of this game, we bring back Mr. Eli Sherman. Now joining me on the call, we bring back Mr. Eli Sherman.
So Michigan leads 20-7 here going into the 4th quarter. Attendance here at Michigan Stadium, 109,651. They had above a capacity crowd since they reduced the capacity this offseason to make room for some handicap seating and increase the width of the aisles, put in some railing, make it a little bit safer. But so far this game has been Michigan. All Michigan since the beginning of the 2nd quarter.
The total opposite of last week's game.
Jake Rudock, 16 of 23 passing, 167 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Exactly what Michigan fans were expecting coming into this season. Just accuracy. He picked up 60% of as many interceptions last week as he had all of last season. So people were expecting a little bit better production, and they got that out of him so far today. In the rushing game, Davion Smith has been leading the way for the Wolverines. 118 yards on 22 carries, 2 touchdowns, a 19-yard long, 5.4 the average. Doubling up on what he had last week.
Davion
28.
Smith is having a career game right now.
Absolutely.
He has not had a game like this in his career at Michigan. Past few years, he split time with Devin Green as the main running back for the team. But now it seems under Jim Harbaugh, Smith is the go-to running back with Ty Isaac as the backup for a little bit of a change of pace. But Smith has really stepped up today. You got to think that's part of the reason why is the development he's had from last week to this week. Last week, there were a couple of moments when Smith missed some obvious holes that his offensive line created for him. And quite frankly, the fans blasted him all over social media for that, for missing those holes.
Well, I think also the offensive line certainly showed progression in terms of strength on the line. They were getting blown way off the line quite frequently last week, and when your offensive line is a little bit stronger, can create bigger holes for you. It makes it that much easier. And also, I think Davion Smith has shown that he's really the guy that once he gets contact, he's still going to keep going. We talked about it in the first half. His legs just keep turning after contact. A bit of rain coming down now in Ann Arbor. It's actually pretty heavy. You can see it streaming down underneath the lights they're on, even though it was a noon start. We're just about 20 minutes before the top of the hour, the 3 o'clock hour here in Ann Arbor, getting ready for the fourth quarter to get underway. Just waiting on one more commercial.
And one thing that you got to be happy to see if you are a member of the Michigan faculty, a Michigan fan, any of the players, is that this place is filled to the brim almost. As you said, 109 earlier, 109,000. Still a very good turnout. It's something that you really didn't actually think you would see last year.
Yeah, I think it's a huge testament to the positive effect Harbaugh has had on the optimism in this program. Diamond backfield for the Wolverines. In motion is Henry Pogge. Comes set. Derek Green gets the ball, goes straight up the middle. Hit at the line and bounces forward for about 4 yards on first down.
Green getting his first plays of the game today. Coming in to maybe give a little bit of a change of pace here. So the Wolverines continue to run the ball, trying to kill the clock.
Green picked up 6 yards there on first down. They're now down to the 8-yard line of Oregon State, threatening to score and put this one well out of reach. Henry Pogge in motion again. I formation. Davion Smith gets the ball, bows over a defender and into the end zone for a touchdown. Davion Smith once again takes a hit and just keeps on going. Wolverines 26-7, pending the extra point.
And that is what you want to see if you are a Wolverines fan in any way, shape, or form. Rain coming down, handing it right off to the running back, barreling through the tackles.
Davion Smith was met by Levante Barnett right there on the left side of the defensive line, and Barnett just fell over. Davion Smith absolutely charged through him, and then from there was nobody. He had 4 yards of free space and a scamper into the end zone. His third score of the day. Now 126 yards his total. He's just racking them up early here in the fourth quarter. 14-18 remaining. Looks like they're going to go for 2.
And you got to maybe consider, think that they're doing this just to give them a chance if Oregon State attempts.
Rudock in the gun. He goes out wide, has Davion Smith right in the corner of the end zone, makes the play. That was a really slow developing play. We don't see the gun that often on Harbaugh's offense, but Rudock was rolling right from the get-go and just waited until Smith could get open. Little flip pass over the charging linebacker and into the hands of Davion Smith. So the Wolverines are up 28-7, making it a 3-score game. And as you mentioned, Oregon State would really have to mount a huge comeback in order to have a shot in this one.
Oregon State doing a ton, not being able to do anything to stop Rudock right there. Rudock just barreling to his right, waiting, finding time, and Davion Smith scoring for the third time today. the fourth time technically.
So I guess you could say that. So on this ensuing possession, Wolverines defense is going to have to try and keep going the momentum that they've had all game, at least since that first drive. Oregon State, got the ball at their own 20. It drove down the field. Since then, they've had absolutely no production. Michigan, on the other hand, 311 yards of offense, 184 on the ground, 167 in the air. Oregon State just 136. And if Michigan's able to get a quick 3-and-out or a quick turnover, you think that they maybe put in a few second stringers, give the guys a rest, and try and run out the clock as much as possible. Maybe look for another 7-minute drive like they had back in the third quarter. That touchdown drive, 5 plays, 39 yards, 2 minutes and 6 seconds for the Wolverines. Scoring drive brought to you by the Daily Sports Report on WCBN FM Ann Arbor, 88.3 on the dial, streaming online at WCBN.org. Daily Sports Report bringing you the latest in Wolverines football, basketball, hockey, and baseball, and all of the sports across the Wolverines sporting spectrum.
Right now, the Wolverines are simply waiting to kick off here. And you got to think that this is a confidence builder for the Wolverines. They're a win over a power conference opponent. Something that came at a something that was very rare, quite frankly, the past 16 games. Oregon State might be a young team, but the Wolverines did face some adversity earlier on in this game, and they were able to come back and recover and regain their composure, something that you might not have seen from previous Wolverine teams.
Yeah, the back end of the Brady Hoke era was certainly a tumultuous one. The Wolverines are hoping to put those rough years in the rearview mirror, and this is a step in the right direction, but of course there's still quite a bit of work to do. The ground game today showed improvement, but then again, Oregon State just has 2 returning starters on the defense, and so they could be in for a tougher test. I look at the UNLV game as one that could be similar to this one, but the BYU game will certainly be a test coming up in 2 weeks for the Wolverines. BYU, of course, one of just a handful of independents in FCS football. Kenny Allen takes the kick. This one not too high, kind of liner. And coming out of the end zone for the return is Darnell Dockery. Over to the right side, brought down at the 15-yard line.
That was Ramel Dockery on the return. Dockery not doing a bad job right there. Doing his best to try and find some space on the outside, but so far the special teams play for the Wolverines has been pretty effective here in Ann Arbor, and now the rain is starting to really become visible as it is really showering out there.
And just as long as it doesn't turn into another Utah game like last year, where we were kept after the game for 2 or 3 hours. Probably not going to be much lightning, though. It's not too warm. And off to the left side, going in is Storm Bars Woods. Tackled for about a 2-yard gain. And Gold makes the tackle.
And Bars Woods last week had a relatively decent game, but you got to wonder why he's barely come in at all today. You got to wonder if maybe had a slight injury or possibly a little bit beat up.
He and Chris Brown have certainly shared the carries this season. Both show kind of a similar threat. Now coming out of the backfield, crossing route, tipped and broken up, nearly intercepted by Desmond Morgan. Jeremy Clark had the tip on that, pass intended for Jordan Villeman coming across the field.
Jeremy Clark really did his best to make that an interception for the Wolverines, generate another turnover. And the way that the secondary, without Jordan Lewis, is attacking the ball, going after receivers, is something that you got to be happy to see if you are the Wolverines coaching staff.
Marcus McMarion in the gun. He has Storm Bars Woods with him. Takes it himself. Quick throw to Bars Woods. That one's short. 4th down coming up.
4th down 8. Wolverines going to get a chance to come back and march down the field again. And one thing you got to think with the way that they've been killing the clock on their drives, just running down the field, eating up points, eating up time. It's going to come almost down to the wire. You got to think Harbaugh might want to try to end it here.
Korebsky back for yet another punt. Peppers set to return.
Peppers
Snap is good. Quick punt. Line drive kick. That one landed on the ground before the 50-yard line. Peppers has no chance of a return. Settles around the Michigan 42, so Michigan's going to have yet another drive to try and kill some clock here, put in the running backs and let them just pound the ball up against this iffy defensive line of Oregon State. Update you on the Jacksonville State-Auburn game. Jacksonville State tacked on a field goal to tie the game, and it looks like they just came up with a pick, so they have the ball now on Auburn's 35-yard line. 8.5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter.
Auburn thought that their defense this year would be much better than in previous years because they added Will Muschamp from Florida as their D coordinator, had some really big signings for their 2015 class. And this game is not what you would expect if you are a Auburn Tigers fan or, quite frankly, a college football fan. Jacksonville State has no business even competing with a team that's played as well the past 3 years as the Auburn Tigers have under Gus Malzahn.
Well, you got to remember, for a team like Jacksonville State, this is their Super Bowl. You know, they look at this game. It's been circled on that schedule for months, maybe for years, and they're saying we're going to go and beat Auburn. And you know, regardless of the recruiting class, I don't think they necessarily expected a bunch of freshmen to come and really contribute right away. But that Auburn team, they're a top 10 team to start off the season, and it harkens back to App State versus Michigan. The first time that they
that's
played
all I could really think about. I didn't want to bring it up, but if Auburn loses that game,
I mean, it's part of the lore at this point in
college football. You got to agree.
To pretend it didn't happen is it's just mincing words that don't need to be minced.
Hate to agree with you on that, but it's sadly true. Right now, if Jacksonville State can somehow win that game, there's no telling what might happen. Going on around the rest of the Big Ten, Wisconsin has demolished the Miami of Ohio Redhawks, 51-0.
Hey, they're still playing. They got a whole nother quarter of football to play over there, 14-15 left in the fourth quarter.
Which means it's just going to get uglier. Along with that, Purdue has pulled away from Indiana State, 31-14 entering the fourth quarter. Penn State still in a battle against Buffalo. And as you said, Sherm, earlier today, it's not what you would expect from a Penn State team that was supposed to be on the rise. After having a really bad game, quite frankly, against Temple last year, it's not what you want to see if you are a fan of the Nittany Lions or the Big Ten, quite frankly.
Penn State dropped that game last week to Temple, which, of course, Temple is one of the bottom teams in all of FCS. So Rudock comes back under center for the Wolverines. He'll have probably one more drive, barring some defensive woes for the Wolverines. Play action on first down, flips it out to Jake Butt. Jake Butt tackled for a 2-yard gain. Regik Ugwewu on the tackle, linebacker for the Beavers. You're listening to WCBN Sports Broadcast of U of M football, Oregon State and Michigan at the Big House. I'm Eli Sherman. Alongside CJ Stone, we're glad to have you back for another season.
Jake Butt having a relatively quiet game so far here. Only 25 yards. Longest drive of the game so far has been a 10-yard 10-yard reception.
I formation, quick handoff to Huma. He's got a lot of space. Breaks into the secondary. 12-yard gain there on second down to pick up another first. Huma, that's his first carry of the season. And Samoan played last week in his hometown of Salt Lake City. Didn't get to contribute much, but now in the later minutes of this game is showing that maybe he should get a little bit of attention out of the backfield.
Huma did an excellent job right there, finding the hole and just barreling his way through.
So now 1st and 10 at the Oregon State 44. A.J. Williams in there. They're overloading that right side of the line. Derek Green gets the handoff, flag on the line at the play, busts into the secondary, maybe enough for a first down right around that 10-yard mark, but
Except there is that flag.
looks like potentially an illegal formation. Looked like they might have overloaded the right side of the line there.
And as we end the call, and that's exactly what it is, illegal formation on the field. 5 players were in the backfield. That's going to go against the Wolverines, 5 yards from the previous spot. Gotta try and contain those mistakes. Those mistakes are what can lose you a game, as the Beavers, quite frankly, probably know all too well after today.
And Jim Harbaugh once again getting in the ear of the linesman, making his concerns heard. Grant Perry in motion. Rudock drops back. Quick pass to Jake Butt. Picked off by number 8, Roma Mungayao. And just that quickly, Oregon State already has the ball back, and they're going to have a chance to try and put some points on the board, get back in this game.
That was not I can't tell if that was a great play by by
absolutely.
Roma.
Mungayao jumped in front of that route and picked it off of somebody who has, the height mismatch in every sense of the word on Mungayao. He's Jake Butt a lot bigger, a lot taller, heavier, and arguably has similar speed, but Mungayao jumping in front of that route, getting the crossing route, and now right around midfield, 46-yard line, Oregon State has the ball. Marcus McMarion going to start things up for the Oregon State offense.
Defense going to have
Quick
to make a
throw
play
out to the
here.
right side. Nice catch there, and as he comes down with it, laid out by Jabril Peppers, drops the ball.
Now,
Seth Collins was there for the catch, but dropped the ball as Peppers laid into him, coming back to earth. Peppers, that's going to be a highlight reel right there.
One thing you have to say about Jabril Peppers, the sophomore does not take any plays off and tackles guys incredibly hard all the time. That one, he simply laid Hunter Jarman out on the field.
Quick throw from Collins out into the flat, caught by Chris Brown, but tackled for no gain right at that line of scrimmage marker. So 3rd and 10. Nice pursuit by Ryan Glasgow, coming from the backside and tackling Brown from behind. Collins from the gun. He has one man to his right. 2 out wide to his left. Drops back to pass, looking left. No man there, now in pursuit. Rolling to the left, looks like a hold. There's a flag, and taking a sack from number 3, Desmond Morgan, coming in, and they're going to decline that flag.
Almost immediately, that's going to be a holding penalty on Sean Harlow, number 77, and you got to think Morgan does not care that he was almost stopped. Just demolishes McMarion right there. McMarion so far has taken 2 sacks on the game, and you got to think that might be because he can't run as well as, let's say, Seth Collins could.
Yeah, Seth Collins, was looking for a man there, and Desmond Morgan, stuck with it. Didn't let Seth Collins' feet get the best of him. Of course, they do decline the penalty. 4th and 18, punt coming. Punt is off and good. Peppers is going to have a good chance at a return. Breaks 1 tackle, brought down at the 26-yard line.
Got to give Perevsky credit on his kicks. He's not really giving Peppers a ton of time to really go anywhere. The balls are kind of high. They're straight enough where Peppers has to catch it awkwardly. Sometimes has to go back to get the ball, and he can't really find space. He doesn't have time to look downfield because the moment he grabs it without a fair catch being called, the moment he grabs it, he's not able to go anywhere.
Update down in Auburn, Alabama. Jacksonville State just scored a touchdown. Pending the extra point, they'll be going up 20-13. 5:38 left in the 4th quarter there, so Auburn's going to have to get a quick score and then try and hold them or go to overtime and take their chances there. Going back to what you were saying about Jabril Peppers' chance on the punts, I think the win certainly has an effect today, you know, knocking the ball down. He has to field it a lot shorter, and it gives the Gunners a lot more chance to get down the field and make a quick tackle. We've seen two fair catches out of Peppers, and then a few returns that have not really impressed, but nothing that's really his doing.
Nothing he could really do about it, quite frankly. So he's probably not gonna get another real chance this game. I'd be very shocked if the Wolverines do not at least continue to march down the field on this probable last drive.
Well, they have 10 minutes and 50 seconds. There's certainly plenty more football to play, but you are right. I think if Michigan manages to force another punt, we could see DeMonte Thomas get a chance. You know, he's kind of the backup, so to speak, in the return game there, and
still has very good
speed. He needs some game situations, some game reps, because he could potentially obviously Jabril Peppers got injured last year. No Michigan fan is really
hoping
expecting
for that,
but if it comes to that, DeMonte Thomas does need to have those game reps just in case. And there are on occasion times when you go with a two returner situation in a punt safety formation, and having DeMonte Thomas get game reps in catching a punt, knowing when the right time to make a fair catch is important.
So far, Wolverines have 10 minutes, 50 seconds left. They're going to get the ball on the 27-yard line. See what they do here.
Green in the backfield. He takes the handoff, runs right up the middle, jukes left. Met near the line of scrimmage and brought down by Caleb Salo.
Looks like we might see this might be the end of the day for Davion Smith, Freddie Canteen, Jake Butter entering the game. Green staying out there.
Drake Harris also back in the game. He had his first collegiate catch earlier in this one. He's another guy that Michigan has been looking at as a deep threat, but his hamstrings have plagued him throughout his years here, and he's hoping for some experience now. And Derek Green busts up the middle, right up the seam, tackled in the secondary at the 41-yard line. Nice gain there on 2nd and 8 to give the Wolverines another first down.
And that was because of an excellent block by the fullback, Henry Pogge. Pogge did an excellent job giving Green some space to find a hole and move up the field.
So the Wolverines 1st and 10 from the 41-yard line, their own side of the field. 9:53 remaining in this one. I formation to split out wide to the right. Rudock under center. Hands the ball off to Green. Up the middle again. 7 yards on first down. Green continuing to rumble. And this is just the offensive line is great, getting great space, creating not just holes for the running back to find, but swaths of land for him to just run free like a gazelle roaming in the wilderness.
And right now, Wolverines have to be happy with how their offensive line is looking. Shown much improvement to last week. Even though the quality of the defense might not be as high as Utah's is, it's still good to see this against a Pac-10, Pac-12 opponent.
Derek Green gets the ball again. Met in the backfield, bounces off that tackler, stumbles forward for a modest gain. Looks like he'll be about a yard short of the first down. 3rd and 1 coming up. The Wolverines continue to huddle after every play, taking full advantage of that play clock. That clock down to 8:42.
And the clock is just melting here as they continue to simply run the ball.
Diamond formation for the Wolverines. Jake Butt in motion. Ty Isaac gets the ball, stumbles through, picks up about 4 yards after getting the first down. 5 yards in total. The Wolverines convert another one into Beaver territory.
Right now, Rudock is simply doing what people have known him for in the past and being a game manager, not trying to force anything downfield, letting his running backs do all the work, handing the ball off 3 times in a row for 10 yards each time.
And by all means, that's just Harbaugh being a smart coach.
There's no need
you
to
have-
throw the ball
have
at
a
all.
three touchdown lead. Just play conservative. Pogge in motion. Ball handed off to Ty Isaac. Up the middle, following his blockers. 5 yards on first down. That consistency is going to be huge. This run game can continue to play like they've played today. They shouldn't have any trouble in the season. 186 yards on the ground. That's immense, enormous compared to the last 2 or 3 years from the run game under Brady Hope. 7:30 on the clock. Down in Auburn, 4:17 remaining. Auburn has the ball. Second down. Rudock hands off to Isaac up the middle. First down again.
And this run game still marching down the field, still melting clock and finding holes, doing what hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of fans have been asking them to do the past few years, quite frankly. You gotta be happy for Green, as well, as last year broke his collarbone halfway through the season, was having himself a good season, now back on the field.
Freddie Canteen checks back in. I formation for the Wolverines. Pogge playing the fullback role here. Green gets the ball. Dodges one tackler, but gets brought down by the base of his shirt right along the waistline. Picks up about 2 yards on first down. Clock continues to roll. Every play, the Wolverines basically knock off 30, 45 seconds.
And it's, quite frankly, working for them, as the Oregon State defense has no answer at this point for this run game. They haven't had an answer for them all game.
Wolverines load up on the right side. Pogge in motion back towards the left. Now turns around towards the right. Hand off to Green, going right. Met at the line and brought down for maybe a yard. 2nd and 7 coming up. Clock ticking just around 6 minutes.
And right here, you got to think that Harbaugh has no qualms continuing to just hand the ball off between Green and Isaac.
Three minutes left back in that game down in Auburn. Auburn just fumbled the ball, and it looks like Jacksonville State recovered. Rudock takes the snap. Quick throw out to Ian Bunting in space, brought down at the 17-yard line. Another first down for the Wolverines. That's their first pass of this drive. It was necessary on the third mid situation. They're going to go right back to the run here.
Ian Bunting getting a chance to make another big play for the Wolverines today. Getting some time there. Able to come across the field, get in some space, and get plenty of yards after the catch.
It was a nice quick throw by Jake Rudock. Now a flag on the play looks like – flag on the field looks like they tried to break the snap with break the huddle, with 12 men on the field. Harbaugh going to have some words with the referees yet again, but
seems like
going back
Harbaugh's
to that
pretty
play,
angry with the refs all game today.
Can't blame him. Big Ten refs have never been the best on the football field in this country. Anyways, nice job by Jake Rudock on that last play. He had Titus Filanuga, screaming through the line, coming up that B gap, and he was able to find Bunting real quick on a quick snap throw. Those throws will save you a lot, especially against the better defenses. Quick handoff to Huma. He goes right up the middle, met at the line, barrels forward, picks up an extra 2 or 3 yards.
And that's something you got to be happy to see, is that every runner so far, if they've gotten hit at the line, they've been able to get that extra 2 or 3 after contact instead of getting pushed all the way back.
Huma's helmet comes off, and he has to come off the field. Pogge checks in for him. 2nd and 8 from the 15. Clock at 4:45. Wolverines have absolutely dominated time of possession, 29 minutes to 20 so far in this game, and this drive has lasted around 6. Handoff to Ty Isaac, bounces off a man, gets towards the corner, but brought down out of bounds at the 3-yard line. Nearly had the edge for another Wolverines touchdown.
Really wanted that one. As you can see, he kept barreling down, moving faster and faster, trying to get there, but just not enough space on that sideline as he gets tackled just before the 2-yard line out of bounds.
Nice play by Dwayne Williams, sealing that edge and forcing Ty Isaac out, saving another touchdown, but it's 1st and 3. Goal line. Ty Isaac gets the ball, barrels forward, met at the line. Nice play there. Brandon Arnold.
One of the smarter tackles right there. Instead of letting Isaac try to continue to move his feet, he just simply went in and upended him. Lifted him off of his feet, kept him from being able to go forward. Got about 3 minutes, 42 seconds left in the game. Wolverines continuing to just milk that clock. 2nd and 2. Got to think that the Beavers will get one last chance to maybe put some more points on the board, but this game is as good as done for the Wolverines right now.
Wolverines going I formation, Huma and Derek Green in the backfield. Green gets the ball to his left into the end zone. Touchdown, Wolverines. This one's going to be over. Wolverines take a 34-7 lead. Field goal coming up to get that PAT. And this has just been an impressive day for the Wolverines on the ground. 223 rushing yards. That scoring drive, 14 plays, 7 minutes, 31 seconds. So just edging out that drive that got things going in the second quarter where they went 7-0-1 for a touchdown, 73 yards on that scoring drive. If the Wolverines can eat up time like this against all their opponents, they'll be in good shape for the rest of this year. Kenny Allen tacks on the extra point, 35-7 Wolverines at the first home game in the Jim Harbaugh era, the first win coming for Jim Harbaugh as the head coach of the Wolverines.
I think he's going to be happy about this one. His team has executed to their fullest extent, doing exactly what he wanted them to do, especially after getting off to a kind of surprising start here today. Oregon State came out firing, marching down the field for their first touchdown of the game, and that's about all they did.
Yeah, Oregon State, a minute 59 seconds, and things didn't look too good for the Wolverines, but, we play 60 minutes of football for a reason, and that's, Michigan proved that today, coming out and just absolutely demolishing Oregon State on the ground.
Forcing a fumble by the defense, getting multiple sacks in the backfield, and as you said, running the ball down their throats.
Downfield running. And update you on that Jacksonville State-Auburn game. It's upset alert in Auburn, Alabama. 2.5 minutes to go. 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go. That 5 looked like a 3. Jacksonville State has the ball. Still a 20-13 lead on Auburn. 3rd and 4 coming up for the Gamecocks.
It's getting risky for the Gamecocks. It's getting risky for the Tigers down there. Jacksonville State trying to pull another gigantic upset. A lower tier team. Lower tier teams rarely beat top D1 competition. And as you said, Sherm, we might have another App State on our hands today.
Absolutely. So we'll give you a game reset real quick here. Wolverines up to a 35-7 lead here. Late in the fourth quarter, we got 3 minutes, 19 seconds left on the clock. It's all but over. Jake Rudock today, 18-26 passing for 180 yards. He did have the 1 interception. Nice pick. Nice pick by Justin Strong, cutting off a pass intended for Jake Butt. On the ground, Davion Smith leads the way for the Wolverines. 23 carries, 126 yards, 3 touchdowns for the man that just does not give up. Derek Green had 8 carries of his own, 35 yards, and a touchdown just there on that last drive. Receiving for the Wolverines, Darbo, 4 catches for 50 yards. Jake Butt, 4 catches for 25. Nobody in the receiving corps has a touchdown. Everything's come on the ground today, but some Michigan fans will say that's a good sign. Michigan can score on the ground. That means they're doing something right. They're playing Michigan football again. Kenny Allen set to kick. It's high and fielded about 3 yards deep in the end zone, taking the knee. For the touchback is Ramel Dockery. Oregon State going to start with the ball at their own 25, try and put another touchdown on the board, make this one look at least respectable. Update you on time of possession. Wolverines now 36-20 in the time of possession department. 36 minutes of possession for the Wolverines. That's certainly aided by 2 7+ minute drives. Wolverines had one in the second quarter, one just concluded here in the fourth.
And that's something that Wolverine faithful have to be happy to see, the ability of the Wolverines to just march down the field. Harbaugh running a pro-style offense. No fast plays going on there. Simply in-your-face, smash-mouth football.
McMarion, the quarterback in the game now, look for the option read, wanted to hand the ball off to Storm Bars Woods, but Bars Woods and McMarion had what looked like a little bit of miscommunication, and McMarion had to keep the ball himself, stumbled forward, fell forward at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play, still from the 25, 2nd and 10. This time he hands the ball off. Deltron Stands tackled for 5 yards there on 2nd down.
Stands did his best to try and get away from James Ross and Joe Bolden, but could not as he got tripped up past the defensive line. Something that you got to give the Michigan defense credit for is when the defensive line has not been able to get the tackle, the linebackers have.
So 3rd and 4 from the 31. McMarion in the backfield with one man. He has 3 out to his right. Steps back to pass, looking for a man, nobody there. Taco Charlton in pursuit in the backfield. Tackle made. That one by Ben Gedeon, backup weak side linebacker for the Wolverines. 4th and 3. Oregon State.
That's going to be
a punt.
It's going to be another punt. Jabril Pepper's last chance to try and do something on the return. Can't be sure if that's going to happen or not. As we noted earlier, has not had the chance to really field anything cleanly. And looks like a
Whistle and a
timeout
flag.
call. Nope, that is a flag.
False start or perhaps an illegal substitution. One guy coming in seemed like he didn't have his helmet on as he came onto the field.
False start. Offense, kicking team.
He was in motion, didn't catch the number there. Auburn has tied the game, touchdown late in the fourth quarter, 39 seconds on the clock. Excuse me, I shouldn't say they tied the game just yet. 20-19, the extra point coming. Now the punt is off. That one shanked wide left.
And
goes out of bounds
out
at
of
the
bounds.
Michigan 43.
Peppers didn't even have a chance to even come close to catching it. And
looking at the replay in the Auburn game, that was an amazing catch. Got in the back corner of the end zone, getting 2 feet down.
Minute 24 left here at the Big House. Got to think that the Wolverines are probably just going to take 3 knees, call it a day.
Yeah, Oregon State, of course, has 3 timeouts, but I think they're ready to go home, too. It's a long flight back to Corvallis. These kids got school to go to,
they're down
classes
28
to study
points.
for.
Down 28 points, probably do not want to stay out any longer than they need to.
In the game now, at quarterback for the Wolverines.
So that's number 3 for the Wolverines.
That's, we gotta go to the full roster for this one. Wilton Spate in the game for the Wolverines.
Spate getting his
sophomore,
getting his first handles as a Michigan QB. And I guess it makes sense why he's getting instead of Shane Morris, since Shane Morris is the second backup. You go to the third string, give him a little bit of play time in general, as Morris probably will come in other games in the future.
Jabril Peppers in the game now on offense. He's not going to be getting the ball as Spade is just going to take a knee. Wolverines.
That will do it.
In the victory formation, Wilton Spate goes down, and the Wolverines are going to win 35-7 here at home. The first win in the Jim Harbaugh era. Could see one more snap here. We'll see if they get it under the game clock. Game clock goes below the play clock. Wolverines are going to finish this one, they aren't going to have to take another snap.
And that's going to do it. Gotta be happy if you're the Wolverines. Always want to start off your first home game with a win. Regardless of what happens in that game, you leave with a win. Game ends the way you wanted to end it.
So Wolverines, as they go onto the field for the handshakes and the victors plays from the band, win 35-7 here at the Big House. Story of the day, 225 yards on the ground for the Wolverines. They allowed just 138 yards of total offense, 79 in the air, 59 on the ground to a very good spread offense who have a very good rushing quarterback. Nice output by the Wolverines. Star of the game, of course, going to be Davion Smith, 23 carries, 126 yards, 3 touchdowns for Mr. Smith, the junior. That's going to do it for our broadcast. I'm Eli Sherman, alongside CJ Stone, and also for our producer, David Carlson, and the man of the first half, Leo Blavin. And thank you for tuning in to our broadcast here today at the Big House. Jim Harbaugh got his first win in the Maize and Blue as a coach. Tune in to the Daily Sports Report starting this Tuesday on 88.3 WCBN FM Ann Arbor, your home for Wolverine sports. We're going to leave you with a good night and a Go Blue.